Morning. Daniela Williams, morning to you. Pauline Buckmeyer, morning. Angela Madu, morning. Gerald Pascal, Mansour, morning. Roxanne King, morning. Roxanne. Thank you for my brooms as always. Sweeping time by elections soon come, indeed. I think there's supposed to be 2 by-elections, one in Lengua Indian Walk and the other seat where the UNC councillor died recently. I think he was the chairman of the Penal DB or the Princess Tom 32, who died recently. So there's a vacant seat there. Of course, that by-election into Lengua Indian Walk should have happened a long time ago, but because of the UNC's court challenge, the Burgesses of Lengua Indian Walk have been without a representative for the last almost 7 months. Yeah. Waste of time. Let's make sure whoever, Wayne Gibson, morning. Rookman Gangadi, morning. Rookman J Dimple 66, morning. Morning, Jenny. Shadley Jimenez, morning to you. Patty Putu, morning, Patty. Leon Graves, Dwayne Khan, morning to you. Priscilla Holder, Neil Francois, always present. Let me see who I have on Facebook. Morning, Carol. Claire Carrington, morning. Ruth Franton, morning. Claire Irish, morning. Claire. Mario Che Guevara, morning. Mario. Sarah Richards, morning to you. Esther Blake, morning. Patricia Comina. Maria Lyons, morning. Maria. Adriana Alexis, morning to you. Mil Durant. Cynthia Jackson, morning. Claudette Jeffrey. Jenny Joseph, morning to you as well. Natalie F, morning. Right. So, yeah, I forgot that there was a holiday today, so that's why I decided instead of yesterday getting up at 5:45 yesterday to do the live. I know some of you all, while the live is taking place, while you're on your way to work and so on, it's a challenge, so you have to log on later. So I just thought it wise to have it today instead. Heather, morning. Patricia McKenzie, morning. Let's see who else we have here. Deish Robin, morning. John Edwards, morning to you. Kathy Ann Townsend, morning to all of you guys. It's 11:15 on this Good Friday 2024. So you know that today has special meaning for members of the Christian faith. So let me say, of course, good morning to all of you guys. Those of you who may have gone out this morning to do the Stations of the Cross, so that they didn't have it this year on San Fernando Hill. I read they didn't get the necessary approvals. I know one of the more prominent ones is the one up to Mount St. Benedict. So I trust that one would have come off this morning for the Catholic community. Yeah, so Carlos Fornelia, morning, sir. All right, I see Che says he needs clarification on the Revenue Authority. All right, so I will take note of that, Che, and so I'll put it on my list of topics to treat with. Yeah, Revenue Authority, no problem. Eva Smith Spivey, morning. Gillian Jackson, morning. Dexter Tweets, morning to you. Right, so let me jump into it. Yes, I was just bringing Easter greetings to all of you folks. It's actually in the vicinity of 5 billion Che. Yes, 5 billion in between tax evasion and and other leakages. Yes, in the vicinity of 5 billion. In fact, I would have mentioned on Tuesday that I would have David Abdullah has on numerous occasions spoken to the issue where he had a conversation with a former People's Partnership Minister of Finance who told him that they estimate that the country loses in the vicinity of about $7.5 billion a year in tax leakage, tax evasion, and the like. And when Abdullah asked him, so why aren't you all doing anything to plug the leakages and to fix the problem? The former minister told him, we can't do anything because the culprits are our people. Abdullah is on record. In fact, when I sat with him when we did the budget review in the studios of I-95 back in October, I raised that issue with him. He said, "Put him on the spot there, boy." But again, he reinforced it and he said, yes, he confirmed that he did in fact have that conversation, and that is what was told to him. Hence the reason the UNC so staunchly is against the Revenue Authority. Right? So, good morning to His Excellency, President of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor, First Lady Mercy Kagan, Sandra Watson, morning. Dave Emmanuel, morning. Jennifer Nathan, morning. Hazel Ann Martin, morning. Wayne Gibson, morning. Sheila Buri, morning. Alberta Samba. And here, of course, is Ricky. Rowley must go for sanity and stability of this country. Or it has Rowley. Rowley must go where? Rowley must go where, Ricky? And be replaced by whom? Prasad Bisasa? We will touch on that a little bit this morning because a couple of days ago, I was listening to the Juju Love show, Juliet Davy and Mr. Aruka. And I think Juliet did the show for herself that day. And Kunji, for those of you who are familiar with that character, would have called in close to the end of the show and he would have expressed concern over Juliet's comparison between Dr. Rowley and Kamala Prasad Bisasa. In fact, he took umbrage to it and felt that that was not a proper comparison, that there is no comparison to be made between the two leaders, right, Dr. Rowley and Prasad Bisasa. And he told Juliet, there was a time when you cared about people and whatnot. So the implication is that Dr. Rowley doesn't care about people. All right, we will touch on that. Claire says, I want to see them run the country without taxes. And that's the problem, Claire, that the UNC is a populist party. The leadership is a populist leadership. And as Dr. Rowley would have mentioned sometime last week when he made a contribution to the property tax debate, that is what the UNC does. They make decisions based on what they think what is popular and what they think the population wants to hear, rather than the tough decisions which the population needs. And then when they avoid the tough decisions, which is what the PNM is always inclined to make, and the problems manifest themselves or worsen later on down the road, it always takes a PNM government to come back in office and fix the problem and make the tough decisions to do what the UNC doesn't want to do. So Ricky says the PNM will meet their Waterloo in 2025. All right. Ricky also said that same thing in 2020. The PNM dead. Blows, licks for the PNM. What happened? In 2019, you see, and you see, let me tell you something, Ricky. You know what's all your problem? You're all delusional. From the leadership of your party, come down. And you're all buying into this propaganda that Munilal and them talk. Munilal keeps repeating that they won the 2023 local elections because based on popular vote. Let me tell you what determines who wins the local election in Trinidad and Tobago. It's not about who gets the most popular votes. Popular voting, because the UNC got the popular votes in 2019, they got 202,000 votes. The PNM got 161,000. The PNM ended up with 72 districts and the UNC 67. So with the 202,000 votes, they still were not able to capture the majority of districts, right? So it's the same thing you all come and said last year, call the election. The PNM are running because they're afraid of election and they're really afraid to call the election because the PNM cocktail book and the PNM thing. And Munila said that we're going to beat the PNM to a frazzle and then we will beat the frazzle too. We're still waiting on the frazzle. Imagine with 100 and you all boasting, you got 176,000 votes plus whatever you got from Gary the Great, right? NTA and the UNC. combined got about 189,000 votes, which is a decline from what it is that you got in 2019. But Julian saying the party on an ascendancy, you know. Well, you get less votes. Imagine that, less votes, but that means the party is on an ascendancy because apparently definitions of words different in the UNC dictionary as opposed to the rest of us dictionary. Yeah? That's what they said. Call election, or they cocktail book. You know, let's see what happened to the PNM and Tobago, the UNC, and the same thing going on happen in Trinidad. Did that happen? Did that happen, Ricky? Nothing happens before it's time, really? Well, plenty of people saying that same thing about the leadership of Kamla Prasad Bisesa. But let me tell you, you all continue to remain in that. Why is that? Why PNM was not patriotic when we were the PNM was very patriotic. Very, very patriotic. Let me tell you something. You all continue to remain in that state of cluelessness and delusion. And believe that based on the current state of things, yes, that you all are going to win an election. If you all couldn't win a local election with Jack, Gary, and the OWTU on your side, clearly you couldn't win on your own. So that's why you repeated calls now for parties to join and all the calling on all the other parties that are opposed to the PNM to come and join with us to get rid of the PNM. Not to bring better governance, no. Your sole focus is to get rid of Rowley and the PNM. And I want to quote something from Anita Haynes that to me sums it up quite nicely. I'm going to say this now. So I'm going to say. I didn't plan to go there as yet, but since you raised the issue, no problem. Let me quote Anita Haynes for you. She said something here that to me sums it up and the delusion that the UNC is operating under. Let me see if I get this here. Isn't that fair? Yes, no? 1 second. Hold on, Ricky. Hold your horses. Hold on, you want to take that chain up. Where is it? Where is it? Yes, no. No, 1 second. I saw this thing this morning, you know. I should have screenshot it. It's anyway. Is it boy? Just I'll try and get back to it and find it, but there was something she said. Let me see if I screenshotted that. Did I, boy? No, because I said I would just come back and get it. All right. I'll come back to that shortly. But anyway, Ricky, folks, it's Friday, right? We have some time, so I'll forget, but let me just engage this individual just a little bit this morning. So he's saying why Al Rawi and Emsburg don't pay taxes on their billing. Let me explain something to you. In order to pay property tax must be enforced. The UNC is saying we want no property tax. We don't want residential. We don't want commercial. We don't want agricultural. We don't want industrial. We want no type of property tax whatsoever. That is the UNC's position, Ricky. So if the UNC's position comes to fruition and that the property tax is abolished completely, there is no type of property tax whatever. So Kamla, while Mr. Imbert speaking in the parliament a few days ago, mentioned that he will be required to pay $9,000 a year in property tax. And when he saw the valuation, he found that it was a little bit high. You know, he too had issues with the valuation. The same way, a number of other citizens, quite a few citizens have been complaining when they see these valuations and the annual rental value, they think that it is a bit extreme. Mr. Imbert said he received his notification and he is also of the view that it is a bit high. But he's going to pay his $9,000 for his home. And that is just on one property. This is his primary residence in Maraval. He says the house wasn't even architecturally designed, but they tell him he had to pay $9,000 a month because he lives in an upscale neighborhood. So he's going to pay his $9,000 for the year. All right? But the UNC is saying we don't want no property tax. So we don't want Imbert $9,000. We want Colm Imbert to pay $0 and 0 cents on his property. That is what the UNC is saying. What Colmembert is saying, I want to implement this property tax so I could pay my 9,000. So Faris could pay how much thousands, and Faris would probably have to pay more because he living in Federation Park. And he have a nice big house in Federation Park there. So he too will get his valuation, and he too will have to pay his property tax. This nonsense notion that you all in the UNC have that government ministers don't pay taxes is rubbish. I have said this on numerous occasions. The only tax government ministers do not pay is the taxes related to the purchase of one vehicle every 2 years. That is part of their compensation package. They are allowed to purchase one vehicle because the thinking of the Salaries Review Commission is that if you are a member of parliament, you are required to move around your constituency to visit people and so on, right? And you need a vehicle to do that. So let's give you an incentive to purchase this vehicle. Even if you're a government minister, you're not supposed to be using the government's vehicle, the ministry's vehicle, to go to do MP work. You understand? And that applies to all members of parliament. In the lower house, the government ministers, the opposition members, and the senators in the upper house too. That is a perk that they get, Ricky. You understand? So all you're complaining about how much money Faris family getting in rent for all these buildings. But you all, Ricky, your leader, the party that you support is saying you don't want property tax. So you're basically saying, Faris, Rowley saying he wants you to eventually start paying some taxes on all them buildings the government renting. And Kamala saying, no, we don't want no property tax of any form. So let Faris and his family keep all the money that they collecting in rent that we always griping and complaining about. Let them keep it. That is what Kamala is saying. Keith Rowley, Ricky, is saying, no, let us bring on the tax so that Faris and Zaman Enterprises and all the other persons who rent property to the government could pay back some of that rent money in tax. Your leader, Ricky, is saying, no, do not bring that tax and let all these people, let Faris and let Colm and everybody else keep all the money that they're earning in rent and pay 0 tax, Ricky. So if you want Imbert to pay tax and you want Faris to pay tax and anybody else who renting property to the state to pay tax on the property, Ricky, go and talk to your leader. Talk to Munilal and tell them, because you all are against the property tax and talking axe the tax and no property tax of any kind, you are depriving the country of getting property tax from Faris and Imbert and everybody else, Ricky. So you're asking that question to the wrong party. Go and ask your leader and the leadership of your party why Imbert and Faris ain't paying no property tax, because it's your party that is opposed to property tax, Ricky. All right? Anyway, but I digress. But since Ricky wants to bring up the issue of tax, let me read an article here for you. Oh boy, you're good enough. Let me get this article here. Right. I know these articles like this, Ricky and them don't like to hear. Because remember, they have one narrative. Let me go. Ansa Makal reports record high revenues. The Ansa Makal Group has announced that it recorded its highest ever revenues in 2023, amounting to $7.046 billion. Its highest ever revenues in 2023. 7.046 billion. So in the entire existence of the Ansa Makal Group, this is the highest revenues they have ever recorded in its history. And the Ansa Makal Group has been around since donkey years, right? At least 5-6 decades. The group released its year-end audited financial results yesterday, reflecting a rise in revenue from 6.392 billion in 2022. This resulted in a profit before tax of 842 million, a significant leap from the 448 million profit before tax the previous year. Profit after tax increased from 265 million in 2022 to 594 million in 2023. From 265 in 2022 to 594 in 2023, in an economy that the UNC tells us is in shambles. In an economy that the UNC tells us is in free fall. In an economy that the UNC tells us Rowley and the PNM mash up. You have Ansa Makal, an international conglomerate resident in Trinidad and Tobago, is recording the highest revenues it has ever achieved. It never achieved revenues of this level between 2010 to 2015, when the economy was at its best this country has ever seen, according to Ricky and his party. Under Kamla Persad-Bissessar, the economy was the best it has ever been, but yet still, Ansa Makal never recorded this type of profits and revenues, this type of results between 2010 to 2015. But it happened in 2024 under Keith Rowley and the PNM in a stagnant, dead economy. Well, if Ansa Makal can accomplish that in a stagnant, dead economy, well, it's better we keep the stagnant, dead economy instead of going back to the best performing economy ever under Kamla Persad-Bissessar, right? And this is Ansa Makal, and their results is coming on the heels of Prestige Holdings, who recorded significant revenues, record profits again. Republic Bank, last night I saw where NFM Flour Mills also recorded significant profits as well last year. And we continue to see stories like that on an almost daily basis in an economy that is supposed to be suffering, an economy that is on the brink of collapse, an economy that is on the precipice. We are seeing these type of economic results. So when all of the macroeconomic fundamentals are telling us different, the UNC continues to come night after night, or every opportunity they get to say that the economy dead and the economy flat, and they have people like Ralph Marad writing BS that's supposed to be an article talking about this government has done nothing to create new revenue streams, and this government has done nothing to boost foreign direct investment, and all of these different things. Notwithstanding everything the government has done, they're still pushing that foolishness and expect us to believe that. So we're supposed to ignore things like this, right? I continue. Group Chief Executive Officer Anthony N. Sabga III hailed the performance during a news conference. He said the group saw growth in most segments and added that indicators for fiscal 2024 also appear to be promising. So just in the first quarter, which is almost to an end, they're already saying they're seeing promising results, which may very well see that for 2024, the results may exceed 2023. So they could very well end up seeing revenues in excess of the 7 billion that they saw last year and increased profits. Who knows, they might cross the billion in profits. Profits before tax. The company aims to double its impact, size, and profitability by 2027. We continue to see growth on property, and even more encouraging than just top-line growth. We are starting to see the efficiencies that we have invested in and the work that we have done in the prior period in the country, and improved margins and improved profitability. So 2024 is shaping up to be that year that we wanted in 2020 before the disruptions. Chief Financial Officer Nicholas Jackman highlighted the fact that the company made a record investment of $736 million in capital expenditure without incurring debt. Now, for the average person, that might seem here. $736 million in capital expenditure without incurring debt. Without incurring debt. They didn't have to take any loan. So it means that the company is doing so well that they have at least $736 million on hand in cash to be able to make capital expenditure. What company would invest $736 million in capital expenditure in an economy that is projected to collapse, in an economy that is suffering, in an economy that is on the brink? Which company? The Sabga family had to be crazy to invest that kind of money, almost $1 billion on capital expenditure in an economy that is in free fall. But the people who are telling you the economy is in free fall and continue to wash them out on this country and saying these things are the people who are telling you put us back in office so that we could run the country for 5 years and we could fix the economy. But fail to understand that when you make utterances such as this and continue to sing this song of the economy in free fall and the PNM mash up the economy, you expect persons outside to come and invest in Trinidad and Tobago when that is the picture that you are painting? But you get vexed when it is the PNM tell them they are not patriots. They vex too bad. Oh, they always say he's not patriots and stuff, but which patriot would do that? Would jeopardize the ability of your country to attract foreign direct investment by you constantly singing a song about how the economy in a mess and the government mash up the energy sector and they mash up this sector and they mash up that sector. Over the last week, I have seen 2 videos created by the head of Sandals, Adam Stewart, where he's speaking at the opening of 2 new Sandals resorts. I think in St. Lucia and I can't remember, I think it's St. Vincent or something like that, right? And he's doing a tour. So I guess this is a new thing that they're going to do now, where they're going to do videos giving you a tour of these new facilities. If you see these beautiful resorts, these beautiful all-inclusive resorts, construction of which started after 2015, construction of which started after Mr. Stewart and his father would have been negotiating with the government of Trinidad and Tobago to establish a similar resort in Tobago. They want to talk about this government and doing nothing for tourism. Why it is you think all of these other Caribbean countries are embracing Sandals? Why? Because they understand the value that Sandals brings to their country. Sandals is an internationally known brand. It's a Jamaican brand, but it is internationally renowned. Sandals does their own marketing so as to ensure that their resorts are performing. It makes no sense you spend hundreds of millions of dollars to construct a resort and nobody is coming. You make no money. And they cannot rely solely on the efforts of the governments in the respective countries in which they have these resorts to promote their country. So Sandals goes out there and they promote and they market their resorts, right? Without any input from the governments of the countries in which they have their resorts. So they bring people to these countries. So they add to what the efforts of the state and whatever state agencies are tasked with the responsibility for marketing the respective countries. Sandals adds to that. That is why you could see that notwithstanding the fact that Jamaica last year had 1,393 murders recorded, but that figure is probably going to be revised upwards, as was the case the previous year in 2022, when they recorded 1,511 murders, highest in the Caribbean, that just for the first 2 months of this year, Jamaica has recorded over 1 million tourist visitors to that country. Between January and February, over 1 million persons, foreigners, have come to Jamaica for vacation. Notwithstanding the high murder rate, that is in some cases 2 and 3 times that of Trinidad and Tobago. But you have people in this country who want to ask you to give them the reins of power, are telling tourists, don't come here, because you're dead. When the cruise ship, don't come off the cruise ship, if you don't have a bulletproof vest, you better stay on that cruise ship, stay on deck and just watch outside. But don't come off, because if you come off that ship, there's a possibility you may not return. Or if you do, you might return in a body bag. This is what they're telling people. And proud and happy to do that. And quick to look at statistics and say, look at how much people go in Jamaica, and how much people go in Barbados, and how much people go in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You know why? Because the people in this country not bad-mouthing their country and encouraging and doing public posts on social media platforms with international reach, telling tourists, don't come here because you're dead. Yeah? Or if you come in, make sure you strap up, you have on your bulletproof vest and your helmet and so on, because Trinidad and Tobago is such a terrible place. Horrible. We see what is happening in Haiti, and persons who have evacuated from Haiti and in the US now, and when they are being interviewed by foreign media, US media, and so you know what some of these people saying? We hope this conflict in Haiti is resolved quickly so that we could go back. Because we love Haiti, we want to go back to Haiti. I'm talking about born and bred American citizens who have made their homes in Haiti. They left the great US of A to go to Haiti to live and want to go back there and hoping that this conflict, this situation could be resolved quickly so they could go back to Haiti, a country that has been rocked by turmoil for decades. They're looking to go back, but you have citizens here who want to call themselves patriots. Every opportunity they get bad-mouthing the country. So when Portrait of Trinidad was sung, Trinidad is my land and of it I'm proud and glad, but I can't understand why some people talk it bad. All of them who run in their mouth don't know what they're talking about. Paint your black every day and the right things they will never say. How many years? How old is that song? How old is it? And here we are in 2024 and we still have people doing that very same thing and claiming they care about the country. Really? That's how you all show care for the country? Trying to nullify all of the efforts of the government and the state agencies to boost this country's stocks. We need foreign exchange, but everything the government does. Or let's take chin up and propaganda from the UNC with respect to that very same Sandals project. You had persons in the media, opposition operatives in the media who were longing for the $1,000 gift certificate or the $1,000 grocery voucher for Christmas because Kamala was giving them that and Rowley stingy, he ain't giving us that. All of them who benefited and got houses, HTC houses, when the UNC and the People's Partnership was in office. Vexed because Keith Rowley and his administration not doing that. They're not offering incentives to members of the media to talk good about the government and to paint the government in a beautiful light. So they vex, right? They too joined in that campaign to run Sandals, publishing nonsense stories, Sundays, 4 Sundays in a row, all kind of misinformation about how the project will not cost $8 billion and the government give all kind of tax concessions and it's an all-inclusive resort. So when the people come to the resort, nobody ain't leaving the resort and the taxi drivers and all of these people ain't gonna make no money because you tell me people will come halfway across the world to stay in a resort for a week and not leave? Who does that? The fact that the resort is all-inclusive doesn't mean that people are not desirous to go out and see what the country has to offer. As I said, when I went to Jamaica last year for the first time, I stayed in an all-inclusive resort. But after the second day, I was ready to go outside. I want to see what Jamaica has to offer. I don't know when I'm going to go back. But I know there are a lot of things that I've seen about Jamaica, a lot of places I've seen in Jamaica that have interested me, and I want to see it. I want to go down River Falls. I wanted to go to the Rapid River Falls. I wanted to go to the Rose Hall Great House, all these different things. I wanted to go and see, notwithstanding the fact I was staying in an all-inclusive resort where they had 5 different restaurants and how many swimming pools, and they had a whole water slide and all kind of thing to entice people to stay. But we were only too happy when the conference was over and we still had a couple days to jump on a bus and be able to go and see Jamaica, because going to Jamaica isn't cheap. So since we already spent the money, we say we might as well make full use of it while we are here. But that was one of the dirty stories that they said, hey, people they don't want to leave and what's the point and all these things the government want to get them, and all of a sudden citizens concerned about the ecology and be concerned about the environment and all of these different things. And they want to take no man's land and they want to do this and they want to do that. Well, Sandals packed up the Jahaji bundle and left. The late Gordon Butch Stewart, one of the last statements that he would have made with respect to Trinidad and Tobago is that we are too damn political. That was his view. And he was not prepared to have Trinidad and Tobago misinformed, misguided persons, deliberately so, tarnish his company's brand. He said, you know what, we don't need this. There are plenty of other Caribbean countries that we could go to. So that's why imagine you have Caribbean countries that have 2 and 3 Sandals resorts. Not one of them. We were just vying for one. And all of these patriots run Sandals. Or let's take chain up. Watson Duke say when the PDP gets into power, we will bring you all back. How long have they been in power? Any talk about Sandals? In the meanwhile, Sandals building more and more resorts throughout the Caribbean in countries where they already have, and building more. And we have 0. None. We lost out on the free marketing that we could have gotten through Sandals. Not just that we just talk about the resorts, but the free marketing. As a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, if you're living in Tobago and you wanted to get the Sandals experience, all you had to do was to jump in your car, jump in a taxi, and drive to the resort. Now, what you have to do? Make sure you save enough money for airfare to whichever country that you have to go to, and then have your money to pay for the resort. Whereas in Trinidad, all we had to do was to hop on a skip, take a plane, or take the ferry, drive across to Tobago, and we're there. What we have to do now, make sure you have your money for your airfare. Airfare ain't cheap. I can tell you. Because I'm going to Dominica next month for a week. And the airfare isn't cheap. Right? It's not cheap. So let's give you all an example of what we lost out on. I said, the same people who telling you, put us back in office. Put us back in office. Let's not talk about Sandals. Okay. So I was making the point with respect to the Answer McCall report. I'm not going to delve into it too much, but I just wanted to read it. Profit after tax increased from 265 million in 2022 to 594 million in 2023, more than double what they would have earned in 2022. But what is interesting is that they would have paid profit before tax was 842 million, profit after tax was 594. So it means they would have paid $248 million in taxes. 248 million, almost $250 million in taxes was paid by one company, Ansamaka. $250 million in taxes. So when the government tells you that it is the non-energy sector that has been carrying government's revenues for the last how many years, not the energy sector, you know. We like to say, oh, they match on the energy sector. It's the non-oil sector, the non-energy sector. Results such as this, $248 million in taxes the government collected from this one company. Right? Republic Bank, similar. Remember, Republic Bank make over $1 billion in pre-tax profits. Over $1 billion. So over 300 and something million or so, I believe they had to pay in taxes to the state. So those two entities, Republic Bank and Ansamaka alone, almost $500 million, or more than $500 million in taxes was paid to the state. But it was the Keith Rowley administration, when they came into office, decided that we would move the tax rate for banks from 25% to 35%. We would increase the tax rate for companies making over $1 million in profits from 25% to 30%. So Ansamakal has a tax rate of 30%. But in there, remember, Ansamakal also owns a bank called Ansa Bank, right? Which is subject to 35%, right? So this is the type of taxes that the government is taking from the so-called rich. The same rich UNC want to tell you. And Rowley said the rich must get richer. And they will create opportunities for the poor. And they keep singing that song. Don't forget, even with this article, when I read some of the comments, I'm ashamed to call these folks my fellow countrymen. They're still jamming and some are talking about, well, you know why they get at is because they jack up the prices and there's inflation and they gouging out the eyes of the citizens and the high prices they're charging for this stuff and all kind of thing. Rather than you should be happy when you see results like this. As a citizen who always like to talk about taxes and taxes, always saying that the government killing the poor man with tax. You feel they're killing that's the case, they're not killing the big man, the rich man with tax too? You think Ansamakal wanted to pay $248 million in taxes? You feel they wanted to pay that much? No. You feel Republic Bank want to pay $300+ million in corporate tax? They don't. Because in their minds, they work hard to generate that money. You know, they study how much dividends they could have paid in that, how many bonuses they could have paid in that, and all of these different things, how much brand new cars the executives could have gotten when they study what that money could have buy. But instead, it goes into the coffers of the treasury for you to benefit you, the citizens of this country. So when I talk about you are paying tax on the health sector and the road and all of that, the majority of the taxes to pay for these things not coming from you, it is coming from these companies who continue to invest so that they can continue to pay even more. So based on what Ansamakal is saying here, they expect 2024 to be a bumper year, better than 2023, so that the government would get more than 248 million in taxes from them. And the more they invest in their company and the richer they get, is the more taxes the government gets. But you're seeing, do you see Mr. Sadga or Mr. Batiste or Mr. Ferreira from First Citizen, from Republic Bank, and the head of Scotia Bank and all of them protesting and complaining, the government killing me with tax and they're killing me with tax. And you see them doing that? They're proud to say how much profits they made. They're proud to say how much profits they made. Of course, being a publicly listed company, they are required to publish their results. So for those who took issue with KFC Prestige Holdings, talking about where you see Royal Castle didn't show off how much profits they make, but KFC want to show off. No, they didn't show off. Prestige Holdings is a publicly listed company, and by law, they are required to publish their financials. In the same way, Ansamakal, publicly listed. So for all the persons who had the good sense to purchase Answer Macal shares, which right now are going for $55 on the stock exchange. They will share in that 548 million, is it? No, 594. Those persons, ordinary citizens, who have a little kakada in the bank and who decide, you know what, let me invest in the stock market. Instead of leaving my money sit down in the bank and the bank only paid me 2 cents in interest and taking $15 a month in service charge. Let me take some of that money and go and buy shares. Or let me pledge that money as collateral and take a loan and go and buy some shares in Answer Macal. $55 for one. So you know what? Those citizens who did that, and you don't need to be a member of the 1% to do that. You don't need to be a company director to do that. Any citizen could do that. Establish a brokerage account, and you go and you say, I want to buy Answer Macal shares. And once the shares are available, you purchase. Those citizens are happy because they know they will be expecting a check soon in the mail, or they will be seeing an ACH deposit in their bank account soon, which represents dividends, their share, their portion of that $594 million that Answer Macal declared in after-tax profit. They have a share in that. They are shareholders in Answer Macal. So it's not just Sabga and Sabga who own. Yes, the Sabga family will get a significant chunk of that by virtue of the percentage of the outstanding shares that they hold. But there are many ordinary citizens who will also be sharing in that $594 million, while some are there who only studying to talk about the 1% and the 1% this and the 1% that. That's why all they're griping for years and will continue to gripe. Right? But the Answer Macal group they're not studying only with that foolishness. In fact, they're probably happy that the UNC saying no property tax. Because the Answer Macal group has a lot of property. Plant and machinery. Not just buildings. We're talking plant and machinery here too. So they would have to pay a lot of tax. And as long as the UNC continues to push this Axe the Tax campaign, and this thing drags on, all of these companies are happy because the UNC is helping them to get richer. Not Keith Rowley. Keith Rowley saying, I want all you pay all your tax. I want to get a piece of that. Corporate tax is not enough. Yes, you give me 248 million in corporate tax, income tax. But I want some more from property tax as well. You all have all these properties all over the country. You all have, and just keeping it with Answer Macal, you all have Grand Bazaar, collecting all this rent every month. Every time you go, Grand Bazaar is pressure to find parking. All of these tenants, practically every single store in Grand Bazaar is occupied and rented out. You have banks renting from the Macal group, right? Same inside it. All this rental income they're collecting and paying $0.00 in property tax. Thanks to who, Ricky? The UNC. Thanks to your leader, Ricky. So when you want to ask about Al-Rawi and you want to ask about Imbut, it's not them alone. Their property holdings is minuscule compared to some others in this country. Republic Bank pays no property tax. All the branches they have all over the place that they built, because they're looking to move out of rented accommodation as far as possible and building branches all over the place, Ricky. How much property tax they paying for these branches? $0.00, making $1 billion+ in profits every year. And aside from corporation tax, they pay nothing else. Thanks to who, Ricky? Your political leader, who in her manifesto that she's coming back with in 2025, when Keith Rowley is telling these companies, I want 30% of your pre-tax, I want 35% of your pre-tax, right? Because you all are benefiting from this country to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars. Your directors, your owners are filthy rich and getting richer, and the state wants a chunk of that. So Keith Rowley is saying to Answer Macal, I want 30% of your pre-tax profits. That 800 and something million that you're happy to boast about, I want 30%. Now Kamala saying, put me back in office, put the UNC back in office, and we will only take 18%. 18. So you see the extra 12 that Keith's taking from you all, we will let you keep it, but that will make them poorer. And Ricky? And Keith taking 30. Kamala saying she will reduce it to 18. And that making sense to you all, and Ricky? Because as Rowley want to make the rich richer. 18% will make them richer, and will make them poorer than the 30%. So that extra 12 that Kamala wants them to keep, working out over $100 million, that should come to the coffers of the state. Under Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, they would get to keep that. So instead of 594 million after tax, it would have been about just over 700 million after tax. More monies for the directors, more money for the owners, the shareholders too. So it's good for the small man who have the common sense to invest in stocks, to invest in the stock market. You get a little more in dividends, but guess what? The company or the persons with the majority shares benefiting too. So they could afford to go and buy another yacht, 2 more yachts. So that is why a couple of years ago, when a brand new yacht was coming into Trinidad, and I think it ran aground or something, or ran into something and it sank, there was no problem. No biggie, okay. Insurance will cover that, we just buy the next one. All right, we just buy the next one. Easy like that. But Rowley wants to make the rich richer, right? So Kamala is saying to Republic Bank, don't worry. According in the words of Rudal Munilal, salvation is nigh. Soon the UNC will be in office. And don't worry, Mr. Batiste. No longer will your company be required to pay 35% tax. You will only pay 18%, almost half of what you pay in the state. And you don't worry, we will magically create, make up for the shortfall. Yes, we will magically make up for the shortfall. So you don't worry, but you don't have to worry about it anyway, because hey, we worry about your pay is sweet. Don't worry, Mr. Batiste. We got your back. And we got the back of your shareholders too. Tell them soon enough, the UNC will be in office. And you say, oh, that wicked, evil Keith Rowley want to punish all here. Punish all here for charging $15 and $20 in service charge. Charging people $20 for every month for a standing order. When it is that you all pull your service charge and you put the people on them accounted overdraft, and then you're charging them an overdraft fee too, and making all these supernormal profits. And you all driving the best of cars at the expense of the bank, and the bank maintaining these vehicles too, so it costing you nothing. Yes, so don't worry yourself, soon the UNC will be in office. But that wicked Rowley, he and him, but that's what they want to do. Taking more from all here. After all, they rob the citizens some money. Poor citizens, and them can't even see their way to save. When a man feel, hey, I have a $20 in the bank there, boy, that will pull in that will pay passage. That should be able to give me a little something to pay passage until I get paid tomorrow. And when the man go on his sticky card in the ATM and all he's seeing is a minus sign, I want to know what's going on here. Because yesterday, he left, or 2 days ago, he left $20 in his account. Right? And thinking, well, that will pay passage. And when he go on it in a minus, I want to know what's going on. So the 20 gone, and he's still owing the bank. And Bodilal and them applaud that. Yes, that is good business practice. We only want 18% of the profits you all make from doing things like that. But they want to applaud me and Motley, You see what me and Motley doing in Barbados? You see, she tell the bank and them so and so, and she make the bank and them have to introduce a product that have no service charge. All the other products remain. So people who have existing accounts with the service charges, they continue to pay their service charge. But all the banks said, well, here, we'll create one savings account that has no service charge on it. And over here, the supporters clapping me. She's the best thing. You ain't hear that speech? You hear how she tell the bank and them? Yes, that is what you have to do, man. It's always saying, I can't tell all you how to run all the establishment. But when you all do things like that, and the citizens have to pay for it, bet your bottom dollar we will take it back from you. And the citizens will benefit. It will go into the coffers of the state, and the citizens will benefit as a whole. Kamala saying 18%, charge them 18. He'd probably saying 30 and 35. But Rowley making the rich richer. And Ricky, that making sense to all you. That is what you call Kamalanomics. As if Kamalamatics ain't bad enough. All they want to give it Kamalanomics too. That makes sense. All right. Right. I'm going to go again. So, crave your indulgence, but not for the Glaya. The other are equally obnoxious one. Forgive me. I ain't gonna play too much of it. So, let me get this. need to put this one here. So the UNC infighting continues, as was to be expected. So if we are certain now that Rushton Parry's political career is all but over, his political leader is the same one who was there, stand your ground, stand your ground, stand your ground. Well, Rushton decided he's standing his ground. He's not backing down. He said, I am not one to stand down. I've always been one to stand up. And since my leader said to stand your ground, I'm standing my ground with respect to my cause for internal election. Well, that is not sitting well with his political leader. She's very convenient when it comes to standing ground. But I don't know why it is these people always feel they need to blame the UN, the PNM, for their control. They thief and they get catch, and they get locked up, they get charged. It's the PNM. David Lee, you do your money, you do your thing, you buy vehicle, you get your friend, wherever it is, you try to defraud the state, they lock up your backside. The police do the investigations and charge you and your partner, right? For misbehavior, you get charged for misbehavior in public office, fraud, and whatever else. You're on $1 million bail, and as soon as you walk out the offices of the FIB, PNM at its best. What the PNM had to do with that? When you and your friends sit down and all you concoct all your plan, because you figure because you're a parliamentarian, you could get away with anything because that has been the norm in this country. You want to blame the PNM for that? You have the next one who is under police investigation for prostitution and human trafficking. Or you want to blame the PNM for that? Or you rob the state with that airport between 95 to 2001. You had a foreign forensic auditor, Bob Lindquist. He had no horse in the race, he don't live here. And his services was retained not by the PNM. It wasn't the PNM that hired him. It was Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, the UNC Attorney General at the time, who hired Lindquist. Lindquist came and did the work that he was hired to do to his professional, to the best of his professional ability. You feel Ramesh tell him, hey, go and do a report there and make the government of which I am a part look bad? You feel Ramesh did that? Ramesh tell him, go and look and see what it have there to find. And in 2 months, the man found sufficient evidence to show you all are corrupt to the hilt. Corrupt to the hilt. Prompting him to say that Piako airport, this is his words, was the worst act of fraud ever perpetrated on the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago by its government. That is Lindquist characterization. But here we are, 25 years later, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar will stand up on a platform and say that the Piako Airport scandal was a 25-year-old PNM smear campaign designed to make the UNC look corrupt. Always calling up the PNM name and this stupidness when they get exposed. And I only wonder why you're all in opposition. But we're happy to have Kamala. Let me mention that. I endorse Kamala Prasad-Bissessar as the leader of the opposition. I don't endorse her for prime minister, just leader of the opposition. And as she said, she's strong enough to continue to lead the party, and she's not going anywhere anytime soon. So that conversation is closed. All right? And we in the PNM, we applaud that. We support that.
To host a press conference. And the issue of the press conference, which was for the national media and the national community, was an internal matter of the United National Congress relating to the matter of internal elections of the party. Now, that was very curious for many of us because, first to begin, that is not a matter that is for the national community to consume. That is not a matter like crime, economy, health, education. It is a matter for the party. And the party, until then and until today, has taken no decision at all on postponing that internal election. No decision has been taken. In fact, it has not even been discussed. That election, as you know, may be due in June, July, and so on. And there has been no discussion. Apart from that, Mr. Parry had certain concerns with the party. And I want to place on record, that on 2 occasions in the parliament, Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar, myself, and I believe Dr. David Lee, the chief whip, deputy political leader, attempted to meet the member for Mayaro to speak to these issues. And on both occasions, we were told that the particular member had another engagement of one kind or another. One I believe was a religious funeral related matter. One was another meeting. So on both occasions, when we arrange our own schedule to have discussion with the member aborted, absconded to meet the political leader and the deputy political leaders. As I was saying, members of the press, we apologize sincerely. I believe there was a technical problem and we lost connection, but we are back. I believe we are back on track now. So I wanted to reinforce the point that we are in a situation where we face several national issues that are crippling Trinidad and Tobago. Clearly crime, economy, education, health, youth unemployment. We are facing those problems now. And the United National Congress just recently, a few months ago, fought a local government election where the United National Congress was able to obtain 40,000 votes more than the People's National Movement. They asked you, what are you doing? 15,000 votes. Together, the UNC and the NTA received 190,000 votes. Now that made the PNM very desperate. They are desperate now because the UNC contested less seats. We contested 110 seats. The PNM 141 seats. So imagine we contested what could be 30 seats less, 31 seats less, and we got over 40,000 votes more than the PNM. They are desperate, and the PNM has a history of seeking to infiltrate and undermine and destabilize the United National Congress. And we may be seeing signs of this today. This is the work, I put it to you, of the PNM infiltrating, seeking to destabilize, seeking to undermine the UNC that is clearly ahead in terms of the electoral support, the local government election. The data from the EBC itself supports that view. And therefore, we must be on guard. We must be on guard when certain members of our own party jump up in the public space to have a press conference on what really is a non-issue. The internal elections of this party is due in June, early July, and so. There has been no discussion or decision to postpone that election. Why do you call a press conference which will undermine, will destabilize our movement, our surge forward in terms of dealing with the PNM? Today, this country, everyone is concerned with removing the PNM and Rowley. They are concerned with what they call the hardcore election, meaning the general election. When you walk on the ground, you go in the market, you go in the mall, you go on the street, you talk to people at the barber shop. Nobody asks you anything about the internal elections in the UNC. They ask you, what are you doing to remove Pete Rowley and the PNM? They ask you.
There has been no discussions about the internal election whatsoever, and it is due in June or July. No decision has been taken, and so forth, right? So he said. And this is the PNM and PNM infiltrating. So you tell me it's so easy for the PNM to infiltrate the UNC? And all you're always boasting about loyalty. I am UNC and proud. UNC and proud, and it's so easy for the PNM to infiltrate the UNC, and not one person, no. Because it's not just Rushton, so it means that the PNM infiltrated, they buy Rushton, they buy Victor Roberts. Victor Roberts is a man who has been doing lives on Douglas politics, so when Anel can't do it, he doing it. And some of the nastiest things he had to say about the PNM. They buy he too. They bought Henry Awong. Henry Awong, who was the chairman of the Cuba Tabaqui Talparo Regional Corporation since Moses was in Pampas, right? And they removed them, replaced them with some Ryan Rampasad. He too, they infiltrated because he also supported Russia. When I listen to Anita Haynes, she says she's supporting Kamala, but she's calling for internal elections and so on because she feels that could make the party stronger. So they buy Anita Haynes too. Anita, who was a senator, became a member of parliament, right? Now they're saying, I think Padarat saying that she was gifted a safe seat. Okay, so she was gifted a safe seat, but only had screening, right? You all had screening. Screening which is supposed to see who is the best candidate, and that person earns the right to represent. But you say, oh, like gifted, so somebody decided, let me give Anita now. Let me give a little gift. It was a gift. She didn't earn it. So that was the point of the screening. It's a fast to fool people, right? Because all they have Anil Roberts walking St. Joseph and screening has started yet, but it seems he has already been given the nod for that seat. Lord, please let it be so. Let it be so. Let me see how he and Gary go in and saddle. But anyway, so we buy all them, the PNM bought all those people too, right? They bought Marsha Walker. Marsha, who followed out with Kamala last year, bought her too. Because remember when she was, during her little debacle, it was public thing and whatnot, and that made the party look. So all these people, the PNM had to be damn good. They know exactly who to target to infiltrate the party. The PNM have a crystal ball. Let me see who we could get. Yes, the crystal ball say go after Rashta. The crystal ball say go after Anita. Okay, yes. You had last year how much people from the UTAM of the UNC, the former chairman of the UTAM defected and came across. And the man who replaced him, the former chairman of the UTAM, defected and came across to the PNM. And the person who replaced him came to one of the conversations with the Prime Minister wearing a red jersey, according to Sprang Alang, a red jersey, and come to praise the Prime Minister and he indicated there, the mistake that he made in supporting that party and so on, and he realized that whatnot. On a PNM platform, right? The chairman of the UNC UTAM came to praise the PNM and how they run in the country. And we buy E too. Yeah, the PNM bought him too. So they just know everybody who to buy. So it's so easy to infiltrate. Where is the loyalty? Where is the loyalty? How come you're not seeing, so UNC don't know how to infiltrate too? How come you're not seeing people leaving the PNM in droves, persons of note, and going across on the UNC camp? Not even one person all I can boast about. Imagine when people leave the PNM, they even consider in the UNC, they go into party like Hope. Karen Nunes Tishera went to Hope. Louis Leasing went to Hope. They're not even considering the UNC. So they don't know how to infiltrate the PNM? Okay. But all you want to blame the PNM for all your nonsense. Let me just swear that BS. Let me see if I get this here. This one. Hold on. Let me get it here. Where is it? Right. Yes. Rowley's the dictator. Yeah, man. Well, all right. Let me switch this here. I think I have it on this other profile. Right, so I forgot to mention the Member of Parliament for W. Mirror as well as the Deputy Mayor of Arima and so on. They are currently on O'Meara Road, I believe, by Extra Foods on O'Meara Road and Starbucks. And they're handing out free hot cross buns. You're getting, I think, 6 in a container. Tasty buns. So if it is that you are in the vicinity of O'Meara Road, passing along that way, I saw the MP would have done a live just now, encouraging persons to come out. They are there. Come and get your free hot cross buns on this Good Friday, courtesy the MP and by extension the People's National Movement. I haven't seen any UNC MP doing likewise. Maybe they're doing it, and I don't know. But if you're in the vicinity of O'Meara Road, and the vicinity of Extra Foods and Starbucks, you'll see them there. Please feel free to pass by and collect your free hot cross buns. Yeah. Right. Let me get this here. So Munilal said there has been no discussions with respect to the internal elections and so on, and it is constitutionally due in June or July and whatnot. But one would think an election that is a year and a half away, all they're done making plans for that, doing screening and so on, but an election that is due in 3 months or 2 months, no discussion about that yet. How that is work? How exactly does that work? You're planning to have the election, but no discussion on it. No decision has been made, and it's just 2 to 3 months away, but you're planning for an election that is at least a year and a half away. That making sense? Okay, that's UNC logic. Well, listen to Rati Ram.
Why people only asking about something that don't exist? Who interprets the Constitution as in a text? Over the years, men want to court and the court basically tell them they have to go back to the text because the Constitution is in a text interpreted. But it's not a text. The only time we have an text is when it's not a text election, sorry. The only time we have an text election is when the text call it. Between me and your partner, I'm not seeing anything like that happening in the near future. So basically, post that text election when the political leader thinks it's politically appropriate for the text tax elections to be held. And not just politically appropriate with respect to who is who. Let me tell you, I am sitting as chair of the membership committee, and when we met, I will see where the nomination, the application forms coming. So I will see how much come from Mayaro, how much come from Tabaki, how much come from Chukona, how much come from William Archie.
They lost.
They had no tax. Why people only asking about something that don't exist? Who interprets the Constitution as tax? Over the years gone by, men got to court and the court basically tell them they have to go back to tax because the Constitution is tax interpreted. But you have no tax. The only time you have no tax is when you have no tax election, sorry. The time you have no tax election is when tax pull it. Between me and your partner, I'm not seeing anything like that happening in the near future. So basically, post that tax election when the political leader thinks it is politically appropriate for the tax elections to be.
Yeah, so somebody recorded Ravi. Ravi was talking to somebody and they decided to record the conversation. So here, the member of parliament for Cuba North, he's the chairman of the membership committee. And he could see the membership forms that come in from here, there, and everywhere. So if we need to rig the election, don't worry, I have that in the back. Don't concern on yourself about it. I will decide who we accept as members and who we don't. But there are no tax. Yeah, what you say? There are no tax. No tax election. Who decides? The interpretation of the Constitution is decided by who? The NATEX. And who's the NATEX? The leader, the deputy political leader, and so on and on. And that's all they keep saying, eh? We will call the election based on the Constitution. What the Constitution say? The Constitution say the NATEX can decide to postpone the election. That's what they come in with. So Munila just tell all you, no decision has been taken, no discussion has been had on that matter. But Ratiram, in this leaked conversation, saying, yeah, I ain't not seeing that happening anytime soon. I'm not seeing that happening anytime soon. So all these concerns that Rushdan have and Anita have and the rest of them have is valid concerns because that ain't going to happen anytime soon. And the only time the election will be called is when the political leader decides that it is politically convenient so to do. And right now ain't the time for that. She wants to make sure that she is the person going into the general election as the leader of the party. And when you have people like Kyle Taklal Singh, attorney at law, who was previously a strong advocate for the current leadership of the UNC, is now also calling for internal elections. Mrs. Prasad Bisasa obviously is concerned. She's concerned. I'm sure she's hearing on the ground factions coming together and all of these different things that are taking place. So she may not be as certain as she is now that if an election is called and it is fairly held, that she would be the leader going into that election. You know why? We win again. Let me remind you.
Lost 4 times. The present leader has lost for our party. In 2001, lost. 2002, lost. 2003 local, lost. 2007, lost. And you want to talk about track record and trench? How are you going to go forward come next election if we keep the status quo and keep the present leader? What will happen? Lost again.
CNC 3 from Sanchez. What happened?
So when you get rid of Mr. Pandey. 4 times the president leader has lost, and you want to talk about French and track record? How can we keep the status quo on going into an election? Out of thine own mouth comes thy judgment. Out of thine own mouth comes thy judgment. She tell you and say, you only need to get rid of Pandey. Pandey lost 4 times. You only need to get rid of him. She lost 2013 THA election, 12-0. A few months later in June, she lost Shogunas West by-election to Jack Warner on the ILP. Then she lost the local government election, right? They went from 11 seats to 6 in just 3 years. This greatest government this country ever had couldn't hold on to 11 corporations for more than 3 years. In just this space, what happened in that 3 years that caused all this flood of people who voted for them in 2010 to turn their back on them and come back to the PM in just 3 years. She lost the by-election in St. Joseph. She bring Ian Allen to go up against Terence D'Alsing. Remember? And they brought the might of the state into St. Joseph. Ian Allen fixing thing, doing thing, every thing my boy doing, thing. People of St. Joseph and stupid. They take it. They say, they come to fix road, pave road. Or they come to fix bridge. Yeah, I need this, I need that. Or they come through. Or they bring it on. Bring it come. What did they do? They went and voted for Terence. They take everything they bring. So that was election loss number 4. So she tied with Pandey in 1 year. In 1 year, she equaled Mr. Pandey's record that he took 5 years to achieve. Because she called it out there for you. No, not even 5, 6. Because she checked from 2001 to 2007. It took Pandey 6 years to record 4 losses. She did that in 11 months. 11 months, she tied Pandey. Come 2015, lost the general election. 5, run past Pandey. She come with the petition. You lost in the lower court, you lost in the appeal court. 2016 local government election, you lost that. 2019 local government election, you lost that. 2020 general election, you lost that. So you're more than double Pandey record. But you want to talk about trench and track record, and you're strong enough to take the party into the next election? I tell you, all them cojones gone to your head. Because it take a real cojones for you to say that. You tell the UNC dump Pandey's political currency worth less than a Bolivar. 4 losses in 6 years. 4 losses in 11 months. But they need to keep you. Yes, they need to keep you. How many people? 12, 13, 14 losses and counting. 2 challenges to the from the local government election of 2023. You lost both. It's just losses after losses you're racking up. But the UNC faithful said, "No, we can't go on with Pandey by 4 losses by. Nah, that's too much. Can't take that. Let me get rid of he. If we keep he, it's more losses." But Kamala done triple Pandey's record. But only keeping her. That is good strategy. Very good strategy. Keep her. Yes. Can you hear what she said there? If we keep the status quo. Let me play it again.
They lost
Ricky, you
4
listening?
times. The present leader has lost for our party. In 2001, lost. 2002, lost. 2003 local, lost. 2007, lost. And you want to talk about track record and trench? How are you going to go forward come next election if we keep the status quo and keep the present leader? What will happen? Loss again.
Constituency 3 from Sachet, Mahaber.
Keep the status quo and keep the current leader. What will happen in the next election? Loss again. Oh boy, Kamala. You are. October 29, 2015. Daily Express, Rural Munilal, why Kamala needs to go. Today telling you Kamala needs to stay. Rural Munilal on Friday launched his bid for political leadership of the UNC, giving reasons why he believes Kamala Persad-Bissessar could no longer lead the party, and asking for support of the membership. The following is his address delivered at his Oropuch East constituency office. I ain't going to read the whole thing, right? But he wrote this, right? Good morning and thank you for coming to our DB office for this press conference, blah, blah, blah. I wish to report to you on my discussions and on decisions that have been taken as a result of those first meetings. Which first meeting? Where is it? I indicated over the past 2 weeks that I was on a campaign of dialogue with stakeholders, members, supporters, and friends of the UNC on matters pertaining to the December 15th general elections of our party. The The exercise continues, but I wish to report to you on my discussions and on decisions that have been taken as a result of those meetings. First, I wish to indicate that I stand before you as a proud child of the UNC and one of the tens of thousands who stood in the mud on that rainy day in October of 1998 when our glorious party was conceived. Which glorious party will be turning 35 years next month and is still homeless. After 35 years, still knocking from pillar to post like the littlest hobo. Huh? They ain't sure how long they're going to be at the present accommodation because all the top floor has now been rented out to somebody. So it's up for rent, 25,000 a month or something. So how long they'll be there? Right. I continue. He says, we have a legacy of endurance and resilience. I am proud to be a part of this legacy. At this historic juncture, I have held discussions with many of our foot soldiers, activists, and members, including our founders. It was not just on the question of running or not running for party office. We discussed the current state of our party and the dreams and aspirations of our members. Those meetings also helped to fashion and formulate a new vision and policy for our party. The future of the UNC is the future of Trinidad and Tobago, and we are a critical national institution. Critical indeed. Many I have spoken to have expressed dissatisfaction. Many have felt disgruntled, disenfranchised, and even angry in the shadow of a shocking electoral defeat against the backdrop of one of the best performing governments in Trinidad and Tobago's history. Almost 2 months after the election, many of our members are still analyzing and internalizing the election results. Members and supporters indicated that they yearn for deeper democracy, participation, and even appreciation for their efforts. I heard lines like, "We can't take this anymore. I am just fed up of losing. Losing cannot be our comfort zone." Really? This is in 2015. How many losses have you all suffered between 2015 to now, and it's not a comfort zone? Where you call that as a vacation? It has now become a holiday. You all embrace losing like I don't know. Anyway, he goes on to say, I am convinced that our new elections committee will ensure the independence and sanctity of the electoral process, free and fair elections. It cannot be that we seek redress at the nation's courts to uphold the fairness of our national polls, but preside over an unfair internal poll. I share and empathize with the pain of our members and supporters. I understood the despair and rage. Today, as a party, we arrive at the crossroads of our destiny, and we can learn from the sharp lessons of our loss and forge a new sense of purpose and a program that will drive our initiatives to see our party back in national office in 2020 or before. Our major priority must now be on ensuring we do everything possible, make the essential changes necessary, and articulate the vision, strategy, and structure, the policies, plans, and programs that will steer us into government in the year 2020 or before. But we cannot do this unless we honestly recognize that if the same people use the same approach and behave in the same way, nothing will change. We will lose again and again in 2020. That happened, so it seems he was a prophet. 2025 and beyond. Have they changed the people? Well, they changed some. They went from bad to worse. Yeah? They went from, well, let me not go there. We owe better to our members and supporters, indeed all of Trinidad and Tobago. Change is now necessary. Change is a basic law of life, and it is the only constant in life, and we have to be prepared and committed to engineer those changes that our present circumstances demand if we are to rise again. Now, when Munilal made this statement, that was in that little interregnum there, where after the 2015 election, he took back his testicles. And it seems he had it for that period between the 8th of September 2015 up to the 5th of December 2015 on the date of the internal elections. Right? So that's why he could talk this talk, because he got back his testicles and he was a man again for about 3-4 months. And as soon as he was humbled in that December 5th, 2015 internal elections, where Kamala put a goat cut tail on him, fearing for his political life, he kowtowed and he humbly went back and offered his testicles to Mrs. Prasad Bisasa. I apologize. Look it back. It is yours for as long as you need it. You have my fealty. Look, She gladly took it back. Good boy, Mooney. Good boy, good boy. Now go in the corner. Go and kneel down on the greater. Penance in your waist. Go so, go so. You know you had to be in the dog also a little bit, right? Not enough to apologize. Go in the corner there and I'll call you when I'm ready. Yeah, let's put that back in the safe there for me. Hold that. Put that back there. So you can't remember the last time he see his testicles. Yeah, he was man then. He ain't no man again. Talking about he's the lion of Oropuch. He's only lion when he's within the boundaries of Oropuch East. The minute he leave the boundaries of Oropuch East, you know, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, he transforms from a lion into a pussycat. A kitten. He ain't roaring no more. You only put it. Yeah, puppy dog eyes. And all the licks, you only go in my camera. Please, ma'am, can I have some more? Some more abuse? Please, can we have some more losses? This is the UNC membership. Please, ma'am, can we have some more losses? Please. And she only happy to give it to them. No problem, man. Yes. All right. Don't worry. You can rest assured more is on the way. He goes on to say, as I said, I'm going to read the whole thing. One set of big words and all kind of thing. I say a call to the brave because this is not an assignment for the weak or the faint-hearted. It is for patriots who can endure. It is for UNC soldiers who can endure the tough battles ahead. It will not be easy. I invite all soldiers and comrades in the battle to report for duty. Zip up your boots. Call our office and enlist to this noble cause. I pay tribute to Kamla Prasad Bisasa's leadership and dignity. I am proud to have served with her, and I am proud of our unparalleled record of performance, unparalleled record at TFIT. But the time has arrived for our party to move on. So in 2015, when her track record of losses was less than it is today, Monilal felt that the party just couldn't go on with Mrs. Prasad Bisasa. People were telling them we fed up losing. Too many losses. Right? 4 was too much. Well, 5 was too much. Now we are about 15 or more. Only fed up losing. Losing has now become a comfort zone. A vacation. That's the UNC version of sandals. Losses. Yeah. So anytime I election, they lose again, boy. Right. But the PNM dotish. PNM supporters chipping. PNM supporters is a cult. PNM supporters drinking Balize juice. If Rowley tell PNM supporters the sky purple and they see it blue, they're going to say it purple. And? Right. We must take pattern from all here. That making sense. Look at all the infighting taking place in the party now. Right? So they're ready to kill Rushton. They're ready to kill Anita. As Kamla described Rushton, he's a wannabe. That's not, huh? I'm going to get one more thing. Is it here, boy? No. Is it here? No. Right. Where is it? Sorry. I saw this thing this morning. There was an interview that she did a couple of days ago. Hold on, let me see if I get this. Imagine this lady proud to put
Hello, everyone.
Nah, we don't want to hear you. Keep your hellos. Kamla lays down the law, the UNC law. I don't want to read it. I want to play it. Where did I save this thing? Let's go back one sec, folks. Let's see if I find this here. That's been the problem now. Sometimes I see this thing on people's page and I say I know where to go back to find it, and then I don't. Is this where I saw this one? Isn't there? Let's try one more. Let's see something. Right.
It's very clear. They will face disciplinary charges, they will be expelled from the party.
And while Mr. Pare has recently downplayed aspirations for the political leader position, saying he'd only consider it if the people and his family support him, the current leader said it will be a sad day in the party's history if that happens.
I think it would be ludicrous and we will become a laughing stock if a PNM financier, a self-admitted financier, should become the leader of the UNC.
Prasad Bisasa reiterated that the internal election will be called when it is constitutionally due. According to the UNC's laws, the term of the current NATEX ends in June. Akash Samaru, CNC.
The PNM is really, really good at this. Every election they come up with this. They infiltrate, or they attempt to infiltrate, and I'm very concerned about that, whether all of this is another example of infiltration by the PNM.
But how is the opposition leader so certain that Mr. Pare is a former PNM financier?
Mr. Pare said that as a businessman, that political parties came, and yes, that he gave donations. He said that to the PNM.
This would have been before you would have selected him as a candidate.
No, I only heard this when this whole ranting and raving started. He did not disclose when he applied for membership of the UNC, or applied to be a candidate. That was never disclosed.
Had he disclosed it?
Had he disclosed it, I've had serious doubts and thoughts. For the very reason that we are now having this upheaval coming from him, we would have had serious doubts about that.
But what happens now? Pare is still the elected member of parliament for the UNC and will sit on Prasad Bisasa's side of the parliament at least until...
So she wants to kill Pare because Pare say, as a businessman, before he became a politician, before he screened for the UNC's internal election, well, they screened as a candidate, he gave money to the PNM, he gave money to the UNC, because he say, you know, election time, all them parties coming by here, they know you're a businessman, they want a little thing. You get them a little thing, you get everybody. Because at that time, as he said, he was just a businessman, he wasn't involved. And so she's saying, had he disclosed that he had given money to the PNM, well, they would have had serious concerns, and basically he may not have been the candidate of choice. But Pare is saying, but when I went on screen, these issues are raised, and they tell me, boy, Rushton don't study that, by them PNM again, and everything, whatever. Forget that, they will talk and coach. Why? Because they wanted him money. That's one less person that they had to provide funding for his campaign, but also he would have given a little something to the party for the election. So yeah, Rushton come. But Pare is a man of means. So he get them to. She vexed with Pare for that because he gave money to the PNM. You say he's a self-confessed PNM financier. But he give all your money to. Who knows, he probably gave to other small party, probably gave ILP money to, because the ILP contested seats and everything before he became. You have a problem with that? But you were part of a cabinet in which you had a man walk out a PNM cabinet today and tomorrow walk into a UNC cabinet. He was part of that cabinet with you. That was your cabinet colleague, one Brian Quaitom. You didn't have no problem with that. Did you tell Pandey, but how the hell you could put a man who just walk out a PNM cabinet and make him a minister? You told Pandey that? You had an issue with that? At one point in time, they say Ish Galbaran Singh used to give money to the PNM too. But that didn't stop you from Section 34. You had no concerns about that. That Ish, according to what they say, used to give before he jumped on the UNC bandwagon. This was prior to Ole coming into office. That, you know, and they realized how they could eat our food, drink our juice, and belch. That they say he was a financier. They say Steve used to get the PNM a little thing one time too. You don't have no problem with that. Imagine, she is telling you, understand something, huh? This woman who is saying she wants to be the prime minister of this country again is telling you, she would have had more concern about a man who gave a donation to a political party that is opposed to the UNC before he came into politics when he was an ordinary businessman. I sure have plenty UNC financiers who probably get a little thing to the PNM. We've heard them say all the time, you have business people who does support both sides. So there's get the PNM and they give it the UNC, so whoever in power, it don't matter. That's what they say, right? She has a problem with that, so no. But she is telling you, we would have been willing to reject Rushton Parry's candidacy because he gave a little, because he said he gave a little something to the PNM. We don't know how much he gave. But we had no problem in accepting a man who was fired from not one, but 2 public utility companies for misbehavior and wrongdoing, for fraud, possibly. Right? Information, you had that information before you screened him. But that wasn't an issue to you. Because to you, Rushton Parry giving some money to an opposition party or a candidate, probably in the party, you know, a candidate in the area, whoever was running, probably, you know, before coming to the politics thing, so he's neither fish nor fowl. But whoever is the candidate, the PNM candidate, probably come by him, they know him. Rushton, a little help out with the campaign now, but I think you could buy some jerseys somewhere, or you could, you know, fund that, some. She more concerned about that. And that is grounds to reject his candidacy. But a man is accused of human trafficking, prostitution, accused by at least 2 of his former colleagues, party colleagues, who have said that, yes, he came to us and propositioned us with prostitutes and so on. And that wasn't grounds to reject his candidacy. No, but a man gave some money to a PNM candidate. Oh, Lord, he's a traitor. How we can have somebody like that representing the UNC? Heaven help us. That making sense, right? Eric, that making sense. That is all your logic. We can't reject a man because he's accused of human trafficking and prostitution. No, that is not grounds to reject. We cannot reject a man where there is evidence to show that while you all were in office, he was fired from 2 public utility companies for wrongdoing, right? Significant wrongdoing, gross misconduct, the article said. That wasn't grounds to reject his candidacy, but a man gives some money to a PNM candidate. Well, that is grounds to reject his candidacy. He is totally unfit to be a candidate or representative of the UNC because he gave a donation to the PNM. But the PNM stupid. PNM supporters is a cult. PNM supporters drinking Balize juice. And that is why in the PNM, I make the point, Ansel Antoine was selected as candidate, screening done, and they pick he. And he went on a platform and said one piece of stupidness, and they bust it through. Next. Went back to screening, and today Lisa Morris Julian is the member of parliament for WM. That is how seriously the PNM takes this exercise of screening candidates, of selecting candidates. So if a man just went on a platform after he was selected and said something that was deemed to be offensive, and they bust it through, you feel Dr. Rowley was going to select anybody who was accused of human trafficking and prostitution? You feel anybody who got fired from 2 state enterprises for wrongdoing could ever represent the PNM and be sitting in the parliament on the PNM bench? You feel a man who is before the courts on fraud and misbehavior in public office could have a very good chance of being selected? So come the screening next month or whenever, David Lee, who is before the courthouse, $1 million bail, will sit before the screening committee and they will pick him again. But when Rushton appeared, Mr. Paré, you said that you donated money to the PNM before you became a politician and before you ever screened by the UNC. Is this true? Yes, okay. Screening end. Mr. Paré, thank you very much. Next. Next. When the screening for Cuba North, Mr. Ratiram, we understand that you are currently under police investigation for human trafficking and prostitution, among other things. Is that so? Okay. But tell us a little bit more about that now. It's PNM, like PNM, just like PNM. Like PNM propaganda. Okay, all right, no problem. Right. Ravi, you're good to go. You're good to go. Yeah, we know the PNM of this stuff. Don't worry. Yes, you are the candidate. Anal Ram. Anal, come forward. So this issue, what's the latest with this matter with you being fired from TNTech and TSTT? Well, it's still before the court, but you know, I maintain my innocence. That is PNM again, PNM propaganda. All right, yeah, we know them nasty PNM stuff. All right, no problem. You are the candidate. We're still looking for a candidate for Mayaro. Yes, we're looking for a candidate for the Mayaro seat. We can't have Rushton Parry because he donated money to the PM. Ricky Weyer, Mr. You're saying that the first person to be charged for human trafficking in Trinidad resembles me. You're proud to say that, right? Yeah, I have no problem with that. But the first politician, Ricky, the first politician who will be charged for human trafficking will look like you. First politician. The first prime minister, Ricky, that faced the courts and was charged, Ricky, looking like you. Just remember that. All right? Not like me, looking like you, Ricky. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Okay? You good, we? The first politician to be charged with murder in this country, looking like you, Ricky. Not me, looks like you. One Danrad Singh, the sheriff, looking like you. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Ricky. Right? The biggest drug lord this country ever saw, Ricky, who got his throat bust in 1999 along with his cohorts, looked like you, Ricky, not me. Looks like you. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Bolt that to your UNC chest. When you want to come here with your nonsense, come good. Not me, pal. All right? Right. Anyway. There was one other thing I wanted to touch on. Yes. Let me get this here. Where is it? Where is it? Let's do this thing then. That's not about 1 sec, folks. That's one last thing I want to touch on. There are other things, but in the interest of time. Right. Newsday, Monday, the 25th of March, 2024. Commissioner Police gets tongue lashing from the court over FUL delay. A High Court judge has delivered a stinging rebuke to the Commissioner of Police for a delay of more than 2 years in deciding on a Tobago businessman's FUL application. On March 25th, Justice Frank C. Prasad chided Commissioner Ula Hayward Christopher for her unreasonably prolonged and procrastinated decision. The delay in this matter has not been explained, cannot be justified, and it is unreasonable. The procrastination which has occurred is simply inconsistent with the obligation to prioritize and pursue the need for good and effective administration. Statutory functions must be discharged efficiently and effectively, C. Prasad said. In granting the declaration, Fionn Solomon sought on the top cop's delay. C. Prasad ordered her to make her decision in 28 days. In his claim for judicial review, Solomon said he submitted his application for FUL in November 2017. He received his provisional license and his certification of competence, but he has been waiting since August 2021 for the FUL. Meanwhile, his provisional license expired on August 25th, 2021. In defense of the claim, the commissioner said there was a large volume of FUL applications and the Police Services Firearms Unit also had to deal with other permits such as firearm users, employees, certificates, and firearm import permits. The commissioner's defense further said the department was severely understaffed, and from 2020 to 2021, the COVID-19 pandemic imposed challenges which affected the expediency with which provisional and FUL applications over 25,000 were processed. The commissioner also maintained that 2 audits of the firearms unit in September 2021 and January 2022 also led to unanticipated delays, and relocating files to the Ford Squad building was also a contributory factor. But C. Prasad said the explanations given by the commissioner were simply outrageous. Let me read that again. C. Prasad said the explanations given by the commissioner were simply outrageous. Ever hear about the Pulul brothers, Ricky? Ever heard about them? They probably are. Well, I don't know how old you are, but yeah, if you were alive then, or probably you heard those names of the nine persons who were hanged, with including Dolcheri. Of what ethnicity were they, Ricky? Remind me now. The 9 of them, Ricky. Remind me. Who they look more? The majority of them look more like me or you? You want to come here with that race talk? You see, that's the problem at all. But all they like to accuse PNM of blowing the racial dog whistle. When all they can't take the jamming, when the facts is too much for all to bear, what do you all do? Pivot to the race card. You poor, pathetic soul. Anyway, I continue. Just like the leadership of your party. Imagine all you bring a man from the SSA on stage to say that he was given instructions to fire all East Indians. Imagine that. And then afterwards had to recant. You see, that's the extent to which you all go for that racial dog whistle. All you accusing Dr. Rowley of being racial, but have problems with how many East Indians he has in his cabinet and how he always given the plump ministerial positions to persons of East Indian descent. All you vexed because the Prime Minister brought Rishi Sukai and made him a minister. And talking about, oh, Rowley is a racist and Rowley is a racist. Pick a struggle. You can't be half pregnant. All of that. One day he's a racist and the next day he's not racist enough. Something wrong with Tole Ricky. Chill. Anyway. Sipasad said the explanations given by the commissioner was simply outrageous. Law-abiding citizens in this country. Now listen to this. Law-abiding citizens in this country are living in fear, and the unabated increase in violent crimes, which involve the use of illegal firearms, cannot be ignored. In fact, it appears that those intent on wreaking havoc have a ready arsenal at their disposal, while the majority of law-abiding citizens are unarmed and vulnerable. He said the cop had said it was unfathomable to expect her to spend her days deciding on FUL applications when she has so many other issues to deal with, such as the crime rate, gun-related violence, as well as the obligation to manage the human and financial resources of the service. But he said there was no evidence to suggest additional duties had been added to the top cop's office. The role and functions to be discharged by the holder of this office are clearly defined and settled, and those who aspire to hold the position are deemed to be fully cognizant of the said demands. He said the allure of high office was often a distraction from its onerous obligations. But aspirants must be fit for purpose, equipped and capable of addressing those obligations with sound judgment and alacrity. It seems Justice Sipasad needs to have a discussion with some of his judicial colleagues, some of whom have judgments outstanding for years. Years, right? He has, and some of them, their workload is not as extensive as his. And still, they have some of these judgments outstanding for years. So I wonder if the godly judge would be willing to come out and speak on that issue. Justice delayed is justice denied. And while it is he wants to take such a position with respect to a man who applied for a firearm user's license and find it taking so long, there are citizens in this country whose matters have been languishing before the courts for years because they're waiting on the godly judge to render a verdict. They're waiting for the judge to make an assessment and to come out and do what it is that they have to do. In fact, I recall Anand Ram Logan, when it is he brought the matter where he sought to challenge the Gary Griffith's acting appointment as Commissioner of Police, the legality of same, after his substantive term expired. Anand Ram Logan's, one of the complaints he had was that he wanted to have the judge who was assigned the matter recused because he had, according to him, a number of other matters before her, some of which were outstanding for 2 and 3 years, and they were still awaiting judgment. But Justice Sipasad wants to come now, and I mean these judges, they don't have the workload that the Commissioner of Police has. They don't have the span of control in terms of the amount of employees that they have to look after as the Commissioner of Police has. Their job, you listen to the case, right thing, you take whatever notes, whatever thing, and and then you make a decision, you write your judgment, you come and you present it, and so on. Justice Sipasad is familiar with the process. He does that every day. So you want to kill Urla because you find Urla's excuses as to why she has it. Because at the end of the day, this individual's firearm user's license application, what is so special about it? As far as Urla Christopher sees, it's just one among a pile. So it's not like she's going to scan it with her X-ray vision and say, yes, you see that one there? He's a troublemaker. Let me deal with him and leave all the others there. But apparently, I don't know if that's what Justice Sipasad wants her to do. He says incompetence or restricted ability, he warned, cannot and will not be used by this court as a grounds of justification when there is a delay in the discharge of a duty imposed by statute. Perhaps Justice Sipasad should sit in the office of the Commissioner of Police for 6 months and let's see if he would be of the same disposition thereafter. You see, it's easy to sit on your in your lofty throne, right? Based on what you think you know, without the experience. But anyway, in his ruling delivered in the High Court in Tobago, Sipasad also said the commissioner's failure to provide details of the process and the dates Solomon's file moved from one stage to the other was unacceptable. The defendant has failed to discharge this obligation by her refusal and or failure to justify the almost 7-year delay which has unfolded since the claimant's application was lodged. Of that 7-year delay, Justice Sipasad, for how long has Ula Christopher been Commissioner of Police? So we're not gonna scold the other 2 commissioners who were there, or the other 3 commissioners who were there, 2017, followed by the commissioner who was there in 2017, followed by the commissioner who was there in 2018 to 2021, followed by the commissioner who held on after his term expired and who was there for a year and something, right? So at least 3, this man's file passed through at least 3 commissioners. 3 before it reached Ula. You had nothing to say about them. But you want to kill Ula, right? Ula, who has been there for about a year, and only expect under Ula, because it's the first female commissioner and we expect miracles, and only want Ula to do this every time somebody get killed. And this is Ula. Ula name calling up. Ula say to say prayers, only have a problem with that. Anything Ula says or does, you all have a problem with, right? Only expect Ula in 1 year to work miracles and fix the crime situation and eradicate murder altogether. But you wanted to also focus on FUL. And for 3 years, this file sat under Gary the Great. The man who wanted to boast that under he gave out the most FULs and he processed the most. So this file didn't stand out to him, but it was supposed to stand out. Yeah, it was just supposed to rise above the pile and this bright glowing light. And they were supposed to see it and say, yes, we will deal with that. I go on. He also said the excuse of the volume of applications did not help him determine the reasonableness of the delay. Nor could the excuse of staff shortages provide relief to the top cop, as the failure to address the situation falls squarely on her lap. In this republic, crime has escalated to unprecedented heights. The police seem unable to contain the escalation, and the national security apparatus has been ineffective, as it has not provided viable solutions. He said people faced hopelessness and uncertainty. Disingenuous rhetoric, pointing fingers, and playing the blame game offered no comfort to the average citizen who feels lucky to be alive on a daily basis. In his rebuke, Sipasad said, although national security receives one of the largest allocations in the national budget, the evident and unacceptable shortcomings of the police warranted urgent and critical review. Steps ought to have been taken to address identified areas of concern in relation to FUL licenses, and proper administrative systems together with adequate manpower should have been implemented. He was also critical of the continued use of the pandemic as a crutch. Astute leaders must identify associated problems and proactively implement systems to abate foreseen difficulties. I wonder if Justice Sipasad is upset because he recently requested that his police security detail be reinstated, and his request was rejected. Is this him acting out on that? I just ask him questions. Does he have an axe to grind against the commissioner because he hasn't gotten back his security detail? I am concerned with the goodly judge's characterization of the operations of the TTPS. In particular, this line, in this republic, crime has escalated to unprecedented heights. The police seem unable to contain the escalation, and the national security apparatus has been ineffective as it has not provided viable solutions. Hence, he said people faced hopelessness and uncertainty. Disingenuous rhetoric, pointing fingers, and playing the blame game offered no comfort to average citizens who feel lucky to be alive on a daily basis. Sipasad said, although national security receives one of the largest allocations in the budget, the evident and unacceptable shortcomings of the police warranted urgent and critical review. Justice Sipasad ought to know that as a judge, you need to temper your comments. Regardless of whether or not these comments come in a judgment, the fact of the matter is you are aware that it could be made public, as has happened here. And a lot of what he is saying sounds or rings very similar to comments that have been made by members of the opposition. And therefore, Justice C. Prasad needs to understand that as a judge, when you say things like these, it brings into question, Justice C. Prasad, your impartiality, right? Because if I had cause to come before you, Justice C. Prasad, having read an article like this, I would be very concerned, Justice C. Prasad, right? Because nothing you have said here suggests that you, in fact, to me, you took a side swipe at the government when you talk about the size of the budget, that the national budget that goes to national security and the shortcomings of the police and all of these different things. So, tongue in cheek, you're attacking the government too. Because a lot of the shortcomings that exist here, Justice C. Prasad, existed when the People's Partnership was in office. Did we have zero crime between 2010 to 2015, Justice C. Prasad? I am just asking. And so when you make certain statements like this, one question, so, you know, you're trying to, it seems to me, this is my interpretation, and I'm entitled to such, that you're making a case here for stand your ground, that you're making a case to support the view of the opposition leader that the government should make it easier for law-abiding citizens to get firearm users licenses. He said, that's not. The police seem unable to contain the escalation of the national security apparatus. The average citizen who feels lucky to be alive on a daily basis. The average citizen who feels lucky to be alive on a daily basis. Who tell you that? Who are you to speak for the average citizen in this country? Justice C. Prasad. Yes, we are aware there's a crime situation. Yes, we are aware that it is of concern. But are you advocating that the solution to that problem is to arm citizens? Are you advocating the solution to that problem is to make it easier for the average citizen or law-abiding citizens to access firearm users license, as is being advocated by the opposition, in particular the leader of the opposition? That's the impression I get. Even if that was not the intent, you need to temper your words. Justice C. Prasad. Just the other day, he was complaining about a radio talk show in which, subsequent to the outcome of his judgment in that matter between Krokro and Inshan Ishmael, that on some radio station, and I know which radio station you're talking about and which program, that persons were calling in and they were highly critical of him and saying that he's racist and all of these different things, and he was using that as the rationale for him to get back his security detail, because he was of the considered view that his life may be in danger coming out of sentiments expressed by persons on that radio program and other places based on his judgment with respect to Krokro and Inshan Ishmael. Right? So I am just saying, Justice C. Prasad needs to remember that persons of all political affiliations come before him. All. And if persons are concerned that they may not get a fair hearing because they may be deemed to be supporters of a particular party to which Justice C. Prasad may be opposed. Because you know, in this country, for everybody in the UNC, and like Ricky, once your hair look like mine and your skin texture look like mine, that means you're a supporter of the PNM. Remember, that's how they think, eh? That's how they think. That everybody of African descent or who identifies predominantly as African descent are supporters of the PNM. Right? You see, that's how you are characterized. You all look at hair texture and you look at people's skin color and you figure, yeah. Yes, I identify predominantly as African descent, Ricky, but I will have you know I have other ethnicities as well. As you could tell from my last name, it's a French last name. And if you were to look at the history of my family name, you would see that it's not just persons of African descent. Right? You would see that there is a level of prominence with respect to that name in terms of land ownership and the like and whatnot. We will not get into that at this point in time. But you're like to judge books based on the cover. And I am very proud of my African heritage, as I am of all the other ethnicities that flow through my veins, Ricky. I just thought I'd let you know that. Right? So I am simply saying that Justice C. Prasad, again, I think that just as Dr. Rowley, I am of the view that this attack on Elder Christopher was wholly and solely unwarranted. Right? Because as you rightly pointed out, this is a 7-year delay of which Ulla Christopher has been Commissioner of Police for just over 1 year. She was acting for a period of time, and then she was appointed to the position as a substantive commissioner. But there was one other commissioner who had this file for the entirety of his term, and he didn't grant the license. He didn't grant the license. He may have granted the provisional. But understanding that what Ulla Christopher has said and the things she had to deal with aside from the COVID, which happened under Mr. Griffith, she has had to preside over investigations into the issuance of firearm users licenses. And therefore, if it is that she is to rush now to give this gentleman this simply on the basis of expediency, because Justice C. Prasad has given her 28 days so to do, what is to prevent the other 25,000 persons from coming forward and going to the court, tying up the court's time to sue the Commissioner of Police? To say, well, I waited long enough because this man waiting 7, but I was waiting 10 years or 15 years, and I ain't get it yet. What is preventing that from happening? Right? So if you're going to take the commissioner to task, take her predecessors to task too, because she has had the file for the shortest period of time. As I said, this file passed through the hands of 3 other commissioners. And then what if she goes and she decides, look, the provisional license was granted under another commissioner, right? And this man's file is just one of several that would have been granted provisional licenses and awaiting the full FUL. As far as I know, the police investigation into this matter is still ongoing. The Police Complaints Authority is also initiated an investigation into this matter, which I understand is still ongoing. The report that came out of the Police Service Commission's investigation into this matter has been injuncted by the former Commissioner of Police because he said there are certain things in there that is not true and he didn't get a chance to respond and all of that. So if there is anything inside it, so suppose the Commissioner goes now and she says, well, okay, the court say, make a decision, so let me give it to him. Now if she decides she's not granting it to him, you know what they will say? She's being vindictive, and because he went to court and he caused the judge to rough up, she ain't giving it to him. And then if she give it to him, it creates precedent because they will say, well, you see, all they have to do is to take the Commissioner to court. And you will see she will move fast because she didn't want the court to whatever. So she is between a rock and a hard place. But if it is later found out that this individual or any others who may seek to take the Commissioner to court because it's taken too long and investigations find that any of these people would have offered bribes, what is the Commissioner supposed to do then? Come and say, well, you know, they took me to court and I didn't have time to complete the investigation, and since the court gave me 28 days, right, I give. No, they will say, again, it's an indictment against her because she was supposed to do her due diligence and not allow herself to be pressured by the court. So what does she do? Do I give it to him simply because the court gave her 28 days and run the risk of people saying that I bow to pressure without doing due diligence, or do I deny it? And then they'll come and say it's vindictiveness, and because he take me to court and because the court scold me, I decided not to give him. You see, boy, never a dull moment in sweet TNT, you know. Never a dull moment in sweet TNT. But when people question why Justice C. Prasad has not yet been promoted to the appellate bench, right? I don't think I've ever seen any other judge issue such a stern rebuke like Justice C. Prasad has. One that to me, this is just my view, and the face of it, suggests or implies a political tinge. I could be wrong, but based on my reading and my understanding of what I just read, and the utterances of Justice C. Prasad with respect to the budget that is given to the police and Ministry of National Security. You know, when you listen to comments like that, you would get the distinct impression that the only arm of state under national security is the police. The only arm of state under national, that's the impression that you get when you're making comments like that. The budget that goes to national security is not for police alone, it's police, army, the defense force, the fire service, all of these different things, and the majority of that budget goes to paying salaries, wages and salaries. When Gary Griffith came in as Commissioner of Police, one of the first things that he pointed out was the fact that the overtime bill, not the normal salary bill, the overtime bill, all of that is part of the allocation that is given to the police service, was over $300 and something million. He, Gary Griffith, said that you had officers who were claiming that they're working for 24 hours on a stretch, and for the whole week, 7 days of the week, they're working 24 hours. And senior officers signing off on these things. And based on his investigations that were done, he realized that there was a racket and he had to cut that figure. But officers have to be paid. It was what, 7,000 police officers or so we have? We have officers who are on suspension, who are behind bars and still receiving salaries. Then they want you to buy car for the police. You must buy equipment for the police. We want camera all over the place. They want to kill Hines. The camera ain't working here, the camera ain't working there. We need you to put cameras, and we want new cameras and fix the ones that you have. And you need to buy bulletproof vests and body cameras for the police. You need to buy fire tenders for all the fire stations that do have fire tenders, and buy ladder, and buy breathing apparatus, and buy this and buy that. All of these things they don't talk about. You have to buy vehicles for the defense force, uniforms for the officers and so on. You have to buy guns for all of these people and so on. Then you have prisons falling under national security too. You have to spend money to feed the prisoners. All of these things falls under national security, to maintain the prisons and all of these things. But Sipasad is studying that, you know. Instead of asking him, give me a breakdown as to how this 6.5 billion or how much of it is spent in national security, and you will see the challenges that national security faces. But they figure it's just police alone under national security. So when the police and performance blame the Ministry of National Security because all they get in one of the largest budgets, but not focusing on where that money is spent and where it's going to. We want money for everything, must be perfect. If it is a fire tender working there, you have a much fire tender pack up and thing, fix it. Buy new one, spend money for that. Send the officers on training, not just locally, but send them abroad. You have to buy bullets and buy gun and all them kind of thing. All of these different things that they have to spend money on. Right? Send the defense officers for training abroad and all of that so we can have the best. All of that money has to be spent on we studying that, you know. Yeah, the largest budget for international security, and the police are doing nothing. 7701763. It's already 1:14. I didn't plan to stay on that long. And I didn't talk about everything that I wanted to talk about. We had to save something for Sunday. Ricky, call in now, boy. You only yapping on YouTube. Call in now. You afraid? I don't eat, and I certainly can't eat you through the laptop or through the computer, right? So feel free to call. John, let me just give me 1 second. Let me just connect this. Jenny, come on 1 second. I don't know why this thing not connect. Jenny.
Hi.
Hi.
Today, the anniversary of the death of
Yes.
And today is also Good Friday. So all those who are Christian community, I wish them the best, you know, that you will see that tomorrow is spiritual baptism. Shelter baptism in the church. I wish the whole Shelter Baptist community, including the Elisa and all those who are trying to African tradition, a blessed day tomorrow, and we continue to be a vibrant part of our tradition and our heritage. I want to tell you something. If you understand history, in indentation, the first set of people in Trinidad that were hanged for murder, killing their wives, was people who looked like him. So let's try to see in Canada that is African people are under some crime and in jail. It is wrong, however, what has been successfully done is to portray the face of the African man as the face of women. And Dr. David Mohammed, in his research would have said extensively why that would have happened. Back in the day, they were children, now and big judge, you couldn't say that children can also is asking them to send that. And all them trouble with them, they don't used to look like me. But we would run out. We run on the ground with the work. So when police know, the law hold, them have the money, it is alleged to the judicial officers and police officers and all that. African people didn't have that money because remember, it's not me was bringing in a drunk and everything, you should see another person. So that is why the place of crime has been put up predominantly with features as the person of African descent. Not because Indian people are doing crime, or Chinese people, or Syrian people, but they, based on the evidence put forward by those who are studying that type of research, they had the money, it is alleged, to get the best lawyers to defend them and to carry this one and that one. So I want to bring up to that into perspective. I want to make a discussion. Focus on 2025 elections. Don't study the period. Because all the contradictions are the if all the same payments so weak, why all the so caught up in our payment doing and saying all the strong party all they have, the weak payment was able to infiltrate the UNC? That makes no sense. It's just like when Milal said that PLM back against the wall and come back in the same breath and say, but you know what, after this new year, watch them alone because if you watch them, they could be vowing. I've never heard about the weak, the vowel, the strong. So again, it's cognitive dissonance and a lot of oxymoron you see happening now. So I'm not focused on the election. You want to walk Magnus Manos? You want to tell a big crowd, small crowd? Same hand as all. So man up short. I'm not feeling for a woman. You can use up on it. So you want to be a and then we pay and serve because any has never been afraid to meet you and see the February incarnation or any other pickup sign and stand up and say, we fight alone, we win alone, we meet alone. So I don't understand how you take it as a weak party. But I'm with one quickly. What is happening today? The PHA clearly shows that it is run by who I chose. I have done the party side and never see functional executive. You tell me there are 100+ people from Tobago stranded in England with a child of 3 years old. They're looking for accommodation because they went out there on this tour of self-development. It wasn't a Trinidad and Tobago delegation. It was private persons who would have linked with it in the club at the Caribbean children, the terror instead of the development program. And they up in England and they have to get a refund because they have no money. Apparently they just went on just getting the ticket paid and they have nothing else. If there's some for the Judicial in Tobago that would have met with those groups to one as one and advise them how they have to get funding, that they just get a ticket to go and 100 plus 50 something in I don't understand. I don't even say children as young as 3 years old in England. England they call. And they have nowhere to stay. They have food to eat. You know children have to take care of children. They're trying to go and perform in their development program that is going to in every kind of positive. What's the scale on the mind, the trauma from that? Because they don't know. It's not like a woman might be suffering that thing on the time with the storm. Give me something to answer and there is some money now. That's not what you want to make a subject failure. On the patient, they come to the failures on the side. I'm never enjoying from I've never enjoyed the problem from a coach on people like. This is about the children. They send up a something and then last time a group of come and make live. to get care to spend money from this, who are going up in America. They have always a stay. The same people apartment, they say, oh, you stay in the basement, we have rock and roll things, and they have a thing. And then the man who ended up with them, people put you on a long there. Say he represented Judicial on behalf of the tourism right in the So when you see all these things happening, I want to find out the 100 leader, not Trinidad, who is the American leader, so that advice, well, we do it, because when we talking business here. So that's 5 months to come down to the job done. And you can appoint the site people who know and Trinidadian to me the carnival successful. So I think all of us in leadership is lacking in teaching into business. And as to be governance continue with bad feedback in office, there is no improvement that may happen. There was 3 years in the field and competition brought to years. So Diego, no, you do it. And I said, sure, that I will do with Mr. Gary Griffith on the next show. Because Gary Griffith, as an exhibitor, he wants to be a leader in this country, a political leader in the party, and prime minister of this country. And we have gone on radio and spoken about a certain prime minister in the most disrespectful, very disgraceful manner, with children to be listening for children who want to take care of. And we call it on the other time ago, but wait, as Dr. Rachel said, not today. We will get to that. So down here, and the whole community, my African brothers and sisters, my Indian brothers and sisters, Syrian Chinese brothers and sisters, because that's not my politics, do have a spirit and blessed Easter season, and everybody, a whole week ahead, so next week, a whole blessed week ahead. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jen. He not only went on radio, he went on TV as well. But we will play that Sunday and we will have a discussion on that. Hello, good afternoon.
Dominic!
Leave it there. Yes, sir.
What's going on?
As always, I am good.
You know it's your boy.
Yes, sir.
As I reach out from the land, my sister called me from New York. She said, you know, Dominic on this evening? In the o'clock, I said, it's your important, yes, Dominic?
Yes.
You know, she don't miss your program, you know. Hey, sis, good afternoon.
Leave it there. Where you said as you reach home from the land?
Yeah.
You have land?
Yeah.
Where you doing on the land? You planting?
What do you mean?
So I mean, well then, you know the government have a program now where you can get $100,000, right? As a farmer and a landowner.
For them to take my land?
No, they ain't taking your land. It's a granted. You have to pay it back. You have to pay it back.
All right. I'll go deal with every that.
All right.
Hey, so Dominic?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Rowley say, allow the rich to get richer so they can empower the poor to come out of poverty.
Dr. Rowley didn't say that.
But now, he on platform, taking the rich to take the money out of the bank and come and invest it in the country.
Well, they will get richer, and they will get richer that way.
Dominic, in an election year,
Mm-hmm.
you're telling the business people, go Guyana and plant. I want to tell them gone. Dominic, in an election year,
But
Dominic,
the country,
leave it here.
but in the country, I leave it there. Now, and the country always complaining about the food import bill. So the government is creating a number of programs, not just for the youth alone, but other persons who are already involved in agriculture. We are providing you with grant funding. You can expand your business, grow more food, not just for local consumption, but for export as well. So we could eat here, we have plenty to eat here. But if Guyana is saying we have land, you know, Liberia was happy when Mia Motley went Guyana. And you had Rodney Charles in the parliament talking about Mia Motley when Guyana should come back with 10,000 jobs. and the Prime Minister went Qatar, and why he didn't go Ghana? And okay. Come on. Give it that land. What's the problem? Eric.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you and the followers and listeners of this program, Facts and Stubborn Things, on this Good Friday holiday. Now, you see the DVD and them, so they just try to come and change the narrative about our program. It have people like he and the Kingsley, and they just try to come and shift the goalposts from the actual issues that you are dealing with. Right? I know you were talking about that whole land thing in Guyana. But he just comes to this street now because he has something with Dr. Rowley, and everything we call Dr. Rowley, Dr. Rowley ain't like man DVD. He have a wife and grandchildren, right? And 2 daughters. Right? So the man alone. Right. You see, all this bacchanal going in the UNC, it's nothing new right now in my face. Because one, Sushila wanted to say that this wicked and dictatorship government, who is more dictator than the opposition leader? Who is more dictator than Kamala Prime? But you're coming in my face and telling me that the Rowley administration is wicked and bad and the evil, and only do all means necessary to get rid of the government. And then what next? Or you have no plans, no policy, nothing whatsoever. God forbid it. Right? But there's a whole saying that Marathon used to say, they're not coming back. Jump high, jump low. As night follow day, day follow night, UNC is not coming back in the corridors of power in this country for a very long time. Right? And they're going to do what they want. All they want to act the tax and I want to compare property tax. If I was Dr. Rowley, I would have taken up subsidy off of everything and let people see and feel how it is to be actually paying the right price and the correct price of things. You understand? Look, for example, this flight bridge from here to Tobago is $200, right? If Dr. Rowley and them and the government took off subsidy off of that, you will be paying $500 and $600 one way to go to Tobago. Right? If Dr. Rowley take off subsidy off of the ferry service from paying $75 at one way, you will be paying $300 and $400 one way to go to Tobago. If they take off the T and Tech and Wasan, all these subsidies at them, people can't live in this country. So you see, Dominic, we as a bunch of people are too damn happy and we don't know what to do with ourselves at the end of the day. Yeah, so all of them who talking about acting tax return that act majority of the opposition right now, who does leave here on a month-to-month basis and fly outside and pay for the property where they gain illegally from taxpayers' money in Trinidad and Tobago. But you're coming to tell me in my face, don't pay for the property tax because it's hard on my pocket. But all you want good services, all you want good roads, all you want good healthcare, all you want everything good, but don't pay property tax. So how the hell you expect to get good services without paying tax in our country? And then you have these people like the Wallstein and them coming here to talk about the government. Wallstein needs to focus on outside where he lives in. Right? Let Wallstein don't pay those property tax outside where he lives in and see what will happen to him. You understand? You see, they just want to come and talk foolishness and try to appease to the uneducated. You understand? And I applaud Dr. Rowley for that conversation he had last Tuesday. He was able to break down and Minister of Finance as well, property tax. Because Dominic, let me be real. If I live in a house and my property tax for the year will be, let me say, $400, right? And I live in a normal house, a normal flat house or two-story, two story house, outside, right? A person who have a mansion, right? What if pay the same amount of money I pay at the end of the year? Can make any sense? You have empty rooms and this big spread, but you want to pay the same amount that I pay, and that is what Minister Able was talking about tonight. Because it has some people who have big apartments and buildings in this country for property and want to pay the same amount the small man is paying. You understand? Why you think Kamala and them only fighting this? Because most of them, right, they cannot account for the apartments and the property that they have, like Munilal. That house he built in Gulfview for the last 9 years, and he cannot live in it. And I was saying, from here on, he would not be entering that house because there's where the taxpayers' money of $800 million went down inside that day. Yeah, so that's why the community talk. Let Ricky come and tell the listening public right now where Munila what Munila do with the $800 million from HCC in the period he was there as Minister of Housing. Let us want to answer that question. Don't want to talk about Vigilin, right? I don't want to talk about Rowley Inez Gate. I don't want to talk about Dr. Rowley apartment in wherever. Lies and propaganda that these people are portraying in this country. That is why they try all tricks in the book to appeal to the ignorant and the illiterate and the uninformed in this country, to give people a perception that the PLM government and Dr. Roddy and them is wicked people and they don't care about black people. How much opportunities, Dominic, it have for young people outside here that they're gravitating for? None of them. And I ain't saying all that. It have a few will gravitate. But the majority of them who on social media complaining, especially on TikTok, and so the government wicked, and they different people, and people catching the tail, and this and that. How much of them getting up on a morning to go outside and look for opportunity to enhance themselves or develop the lifestyle? They ain't doing that. They rather sit down and curse the government and say the government wicked. You know why? Because Dr. Roddy wanted teacher man go out there and fish. You understand? Don't expect the fish to come easy to you. Go out there and look for your fish. And it's that we want to teach the black African people in this country. But some of them have a mentality that they want Kamala come back because they want baby grants, they want economy orange, they want a little contract, a little $100,000 contract, while they're going with millions, right? They want live sport. They want everything that is corrupted in this country. That is why the country is in this mess. Because people only listen to a lot of misinformation from these people who are not about country. They're only about party. Right? They're only about party. And 2025 is on the horizon, and I have said this again. Once is a mistake, twice will be a habit. Because if Ode didn't learn in 2010 and play, according to what you said, I'm like, play fast and loose with all your votes coming 2025, it's trouble to this country. Because once them day, no country outside Trinidad and won't do anything with Trinidad and Tobago because they went and badmouth this country to the length and breadth in the world about Trinidad and Tobago. You understand? And as I go, there's my matchup from no one. Hashtag UNC nothing. Hashtag Kamala nothing. Right? And I will election night, we will all going to say great ACP and we will, shall, have, and must succeed in this country going forward. Good program, look for listening.
Thank you, sir. We just looking at a real estate company on Instagram, right? See this. Hello, good afternoon. Hello?
But,
Yes, sir.
you know, I don't like to call twice. But when Eric calling 919 to attack people and calling Aisha program to attack people, I don't say nothing about that. But always want to come after me. Dominic, I will leave it here.
Thank you, sir. Oh, Lord. Mr. Chance, good afternoon. Mr. Chance.
Dominic.
Yes, sir.
A very special good afternoon to you.
And to you.
And thank you once more, again, for using this Good Friday where you could have been relaxing to come and give us a very strong editorial. Very wide-ranging and a number of very critical and important topics that we, the ordinary people of Trinidad and Tobago, must grapple with. Very wide-ranging. But, you know, I always just like to underscore the parts where you talk about finance and money.
Yes.
Right? That is where I always underscore, because I want to tell you, as you know as well, that economy deals with finance and money. It deals with revenue and expenditure.
Correct.
And the countries where there is a broken economy, the people suffer. It's happening in Haiti. It's happening in Venezuela. Why do you think people are running? It's a broken economy. That's what it is. And economy deals with money, revenue, expenditure, how you spend your money, corruption, all those things. And that's why I want to touch there. But I want to go quickly into some small points. But before I do so, I want to endorse fully what your callers, particularly Jenny, said. I'm going to harp on Jenny. Eric made some very important points. But Jenny made a point about these people who are going all over the place and are using the podium to tell lies. There is a book, I spoke about it and Dr. Early referred to it, how disinformation is sabotaging democracy. It's the latest book in America, right? Just released quite recently, a couple of days ago. And I have sent on Amazon to sure I get it. And that's what is happening here. And we have presenters, people who are going before a microphone on national radio and being agents of that. I want to call out one of them because today is the anniversary of the death of Dr. Williams. And the two Pipsqueak, right, two Peewats had the temerity and the gall to say Dr. Williams was a liar and a thief. Could you imagine that?
Wow.
On a public radio, going all over the world. But I want to tell you, somebody wrote me on Messenger. I don't know the person. Mr. Chance, what could be done about that? They have read books for Dr. Williams, Capitalism and Slavery. We have read most of the books at one time. The books of Dr. Williams was part of the reading in the Training College of Trinidad and Tobago for all teachers who want to be teachers. And you have these two Pipsqueak, these two Peewats, said that Dr. Williams was a liar and a thief. Well, I'll leave that there. The second one, and Jenny spoke about the business of what's happening in Tobago. Well, I serve as the Director of Sport in Trinidad and Tobago, at that office. And I could tell you, it is a shame and a disgrace. I'm not going to go further on it. I want to ask the PHA if they believe that the government will spend $1.6 million or $3 million on our excursion, or outing, or a visit to the zoo, or a visit to any place. You have to be able to substantiate where you're carrying 100 people, a significant number of them are children. What is the purpose of the visit? Not just under the business of sport, but I'll talk about that. That demonstrates the incompetence of the leadership in Tobago, and we have seen it in several other areas. And that is those are the two areas that I felt. And then finally, Guy Griffith. I want to ask Guy Griffith, are you a yellow belly coward, sir? You know I'm asking you that? Because you pledged very early in the fight with Dr. Rowley to go head-to-head in Diego Martin West. You said, I'm going for you.
Yes.
We run away around from. You run from this to say, Joseph, why? But I'll deal with you later on. I want to ask you, are you a toy soldier? A soldier gives his word. But you told us that you were going to go head to head and fight him on manos. What happened? You get yellow belly now? All right, well, let me come to the business of the finance and so on. I want to thank you so much for that discourse. And I want to say, first of all, with respect to the economy, let's refer back to a quick sentence. The financial sector of Trinidad and Tobago is sound. The current account is in surplus. The outlook is positive. No chance of saying that, you know. It's the IMF said that about Trinidad and Tobago. So all the gobbledygook that Kamala they're saying, when they go any part of the world, they ask who is Kamala Prasad Bicheta. But anybody who asks you who's the IMF, they know. That is a reputable agency that when they give you a ranking and a rating, it is known worldwide. That means that Trinidad and Tobago can engage any big business in getting loans and developing industries and so on in Trinidad and Tobago, because the outlook is positive. The financial sector is sound, I mean it's good. We're not perfect, you know. We have a lot to go, but we're on the right track. Right? And those are very important things to me as a citizen. And just 2 days ago, the CSO, which is the Central Statistical Office, told us that our unemployment rate went down from 3.7 to 3.2%. Unemployment. And I have to hear a mischievous person on the international scene telling us, talking about trying to improve what's happening in the United States. But let me tell you, the latest in the United States is that 28 states in America, unemployment rate is rising. That's a headline. 3 days ago, 28 states. California, 5.8% unemployment, the most populated state in America. And we have to listen to that gobbledygook coming from misleaders. Yeah? So the other thing is that a couple of days ago as well, the United Nations released a report of the Human Development Index, placing Trinidad and Tobago at 60th position out of 193 countries. And you want to say we're eating banana and we're drinking beverages juice and we're hungry and we're skating? 193 countries, we are number 60. Well, let me give you some of the other regions. Trinidad and Tobago is 60. Barbados is 62. Grenada is 73. St. Vincent is 81. Guyana is 95. And Jamaica is 115. Trinidad is number 60 rank, meaning our standard of living. One of the areas they rank is the standard of living. So I'm saying all of this to say that we must not believe in the gobbledygook, all the gobbledygook and the click-crack stories coming from Kamala Prasad Bicheta and all those tools. Let me end by making the point that you made with respect to the property tax. You know, we are losing that point. I want to thank you and commend you for doing that. Because let me give you one of the responsibilities of the Commissioner of Valuation. I said it already and I'll say it again. There is a division in the Ministry of Finance called the Valuation Division. And the valuation of properties and so on are not done by the Minister of Finance or the Prime Minister or any politician. It is done by somebody who is in the office of Commissioner of Valuation. You have a Commissioner of Police, Commissioner of Prisons, you have a Commissioner of Valuation. And here are one of his responsibilities. One of the responsibilities of the Commissioner of Valuation is to advise government on the valuation of all classes of property. Residential, commercial, industrial, and agricultural. All of them eventually have to pay property tax. So when Kamala says she's going to repeal the property tax, it means that she's not going to accept taxes from all those range. And let me close off by making the point that you made as well. I was just looking at her economic plan going forward, and she told us that she's going to reduce corporation tax to 18%. You understand that, my people? You heard what Dominic said. How much money those companies are making after tax. Millions of dollars after they pay the tax in the government. And Kamala said that she's going to reduce it to them, and yet she accusing Dr. Rowley of playing up 31%. Right now, it is 25% of the first $1 million in profit that you make. And after that, it is 30%. She says she's going to reduce it to 18%. What does that mean, my people? In simple language, it means that we are going to get a reduced earnings from the corporate, big business people, from 25% to 18%. And we had it as high as 30%. Where is Kamala Prasad taking us? Let me close up by asking you, where it is we're going to get the money to run this country, my people? Where it is, I want to repeat what I said before. We do not get money from a shopping tree, or banana tree, or pak choy, or tomato. Dominic told us earlier that our non-energy sector is growing. And that is very good. Because it is between the non-energy sector and the energy sector, taxation being a part of it, that we're getting money to run this country. So tell us where she's going to get the money to run the country, to pay the doctors, the lawyers, the teachers, to pay education, to pay for health care. Come on, where are we going to get the money? There, come on, where? Tell us. You only talking about spending money. What about earning money? What about revenue, Kamala? Those are the questions we have to ask you. Thank you very much for the time, Dominic.
Thank you, sir. Brian, give me 1 second. Let me just touch something. Yes, give me 1 sec, Brian. Just 2 minutes. So I'm looking at a real estate website here, right? For the people who are against the property tax, let me just call out some properties that for rent. Some of them rented. This one, the Renaissance, Shorelands, 2 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms for rent. Monthly $4,900 US. Do the math. Right? That's almost $35,000 TT a month. And it's off market, so it was rented. Let me give you another one. Off market. Pinehurst, Fairways, Maraval. 4 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms, $3,000 US a month. Off market, so that was rented. We're going again. Cedar Avenue in Bayshore, 3 bedrooms, $4,400 US. Do the math. Multiply by 7. We're going again. We get this one here. Where is it? Yes, Noah? Where is it? All right, this is for sale. Yeah, Brian, 1 sec. One more. Let me just get him a couple more here. Just sure. This one. Right. La Riviera, West Morings, $3,500 US a month. 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. I give you the examples of these, right? Bayshore, Regents Point, Bayshore, 5 bedrooms, $12,000 US a month, right? By 7, $84,000 TT dollars. None of these people paying property tax. They're supposed to be paying property tax on the annual rental value of their property. So for this one, $12,000 US a month, or approximately 84,000 TT, multiply that by 12, right? Over $1 million a year. And how much money in tax they pay, property tax they pay on that $1 million? Not 1 penny. But the UNC couching the property tax as if it's something only for poor people. So it's only the poor people that pay property tax, not the rich, you know. Not the rich, but all these people who have these expensive properties for between 5 and 12,000 US a month, who making money, paying 0 property tax. Half of them probably ain't even paying income tax on that because they're not reporting it. So the state being robbed twice. Property tax, income tax on that. But I'm not telling you, we don't want no property tax, ask the tax. All these people happy. You know what? Because they could collect all that money and do what they want with it. Buy another house and 2 other houses to rent. So they could make more rental income. And the UNC say, no, don't pay no property tax. But these same people, when they have a pothole in the road leading to the rental property, they want it fixed. The corporation need to go and find the asphalt and the bitumen and whatever it is and the stone and come and fix the road. If they didn't pick up garbage in 2 days, they vex. Because all of these things the corporation need to do to ensure that the tenants happy. Right? All these things are street lighting working and the tenant concerned because there's plenty crime in the country and this in this corner here dark. TNT can't come and fix it. And but you ain't paying no property tax, but you're demanding when this need to fix and that need to fix, come and fix it right away. And the government must find the money from the limited resources that they have. They must find it, but Kamala wants to cut corporate tax in half. Right? So when it is, they tell anyone pay a little property tax, so these things could fix. So the money that we're using from the consolidated fund to fix these things, we could use that for other things to improve the healthcare in the hospital. So when you're complaining, you're going to the hospital with your prescription for a whole week and they're telling you they ain't had the drugs. CDAP, when you get into going to the pharmacy and present your prescription and you're on CDAP and you're getting it for free. We ain't talking that, but we ain't want no property tax. So let this person who receiving $12,000 US a month continue to receive the $12,000 US and pay $0.00, but make demands. Anything in the area that need to fix and fall under the government, come and fix it now. But that making sense to Ricky and him. Go ahead, Brian.
But Dominic, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
It's not only that, Dominic. In San Fernando, we have some old buildings out in Gulf City. Gulf City is not a new area, but the kind of renters people are paying for some of those houses down there that don't belong, that they're renting out.
Yes.
It's astronomical. You say, wait now, hold on.